Thank you.
And you're up.
Thank you. All right. Good afternoon, everyone. It's a beautiful day to govern. I'm going to call this Bonnechere Valley Committee meeting of Tuesday, November 17th to order. Are there any additions to the agenda? I see none. Excellent. Can I get a mover to move the agenda as presented, please? Moved by Brent. All in favor? Excellent. Is there any pecuniary interest or the general nature thereof? Seeing none. Excellent. Can I get a mover to approve the minutes of the committee meeting of November 3rd, please? Moved by Tim. Any errors or omissions to those minutes? Seeing none. All in favor? Thank you. All right. Well, it is my pleasure to welcome Shannon Edwards, also known as DJ Shannon, to our committee meeting this afternoon. And Shannon, you have an idea for us for the holidays for social media. Take it away, Shannon.
All right. First off, I'd like to thank you all for giving me the opportunity to speak to you about this idea. With everything that's happened this year with the pandemic, I was kind of sitting around thinking, first I thought of mall Santas. You know, mall Santas are going to have a hard time this year. That was the first thought that came to my mind when I thought of doing this. So I was like, how do mall Santas even connect with kids or even families now, you know, with the holiday season going on? Well, it turned from mall Santas to when I heard that the parade was canceled to how do we as a town even connect to everybody around. I know that the parade's canceled, the Christmas dinner is canceled, and those are, you know, two big ways that I know that the township normally connects with all the people who help around and work for the community. So with that being said, I currently work at a radio station, My FM radio, where we've been doing these award shows for our area. And we've been pre-recording the award shows and then live streaming them on our social media. And so with that being said, my idea today is to come up with actually put together a concert of people performing and then stream it, hopefully on the township's social media. At the same time, we can do Facebook and YouTube. And hopefully that will help people see what we're doing to try to connect to our town. Your numbers on your Facebook page will hopefully skyrocket, and your YouTube, because I don't think any other township is doing something like this. Currently right now, I have about, I'd say 6 or 7 acts right now. Names like Aaron Schwaggart, Julie the Rock, Steve Agnew, you know, familiar local names in the township that a lot of people know. I pretty much want to make it an event where I give you guys an opportunity to voice, like Jennifer, if you want to say a message to everybody, if you want to hit up the, you know, or ask, sorry, hit up, I'm talking LA talk now. If you want to ask John Yakubeski or Cheryl Gallant to say something, you know, there's an opportunity there. And all of it's going to be pre-recorded and then streamed live. So there's not going to be any live mistakes or anything, like kind of like how we can have one right now because we're all live on YouTube. But it's all going to be pre-recorded and lined up, and I'm going to do all the recording and editing myself. So it's going to be something we can view and be happy with before we put it out there. So,
Shannon, I think that is a wonderful idea. We are in fact going to reach out to all of our staff and volunteers, and if they want to join in for a virtual Christmas party on a Friday late afternoon, so that we can, as council, say thank you to all of our staff and our volunteers. And I understand that many people, you know, aren't online necessarily. but for those that can get on, that was the way that we were going to try and connect for Christmas, because of course, as you well know, that Christmas party is extremely important and more of an appreciation party than anything else. I mean, it's our opportunity to thank all of the people in our community that do so much. And, you know, even through COVID, it's amazing to me that our volunteer spirit is still alive and well, and people are still doing things. You know, look at McCrae Park, for example. So I think I think this is an awesome idea, and I wonder, is there a way that we could stream it after our virtual Christmas party so that those online could watch it? I mean, we saw the numbers you got, and I assume everybody knows that it was Shannon that did our Canada Day celebrations. And I mean, the numbers on our YouTube were way higher than I would have thought. So if that's the kind of following we have, then I think this is an amazing idea. But is there a way that we could maybe, you know, is there a way to blend the two so that, you know, I know that normally you DJ our party, but could we, you know, could we have those apps?
Yeah, you're on share screen.
Okay. Or it can be a standalone. I think this is a lovely idea. I will open it up to council. Yes, Murph, go ahead.
Well, if I looked at the closet downstairs, I'm sure I could make Santa Claus come that day. If you want Santa Claus up here.
Yeah, I wasn't quite done yet. There was two more things that I wanted to say. There.
Oh, sorry, Shannon. You go ahead. I do have to tell you though, Dave and my father and I were commenting this weekend about mall Santas. So I think it's really funny that you brought, yeah.
So one of the things was parade, and normally there is, you know, the kids who are at the end of the parade. If there was a way to get Santa Claus to come in, or if you guys had a connection with the Santa Claus, you know, that would be great to put a Santa Claus, you know, for somebody, hello or whatever. And the second
full screen here.
And the second,
Kevin, can you mute yourself, please? Thank you. Go ahead, Shannon.
I don't have necessarily connections to the local food bank. And during this whole presentation, I want to help try to raise awareness and donations for the local food bank as well. So that was the other two things that so if you guys have any type of connections as far as having me reach out to local food banks and the MP and the MPP, that would be great.
Absolutely. I can make all three of those happen, but I think, Brent, are you still volunteering at the food bank?
I never was volunteering. I do help out, but I can reach either Gail. That's fine.
Yeah, so it's Gail Edmondson, Shannon.
Okay.
Just a lovely woman. And I can reach out to Yak and to Cheryl, or Tim, if you want to reach out to Cheryl, I'll reach out to Yak. We can maybe divide and conquer here. Excellent, thank you, sir. Yeah, Shannon, these are great ideas. What was your other idea?
Well, that was to tap off, or you know, what you're trying to blend there. I don't know what date was your initial plan for going with the thank you video. 19th of December for this to air.
Annette, what date were we thinking? I thought we said the 11th, right? That was the Friday.
Yes, I think we did pick a Friday, but you're saying December 18th would be the day it would air, Shannon?
For the 19th on the Saturday.
Oh, sorry, the Saturday, the 19th, yeah.
All right, so then why don't we do we've got to get emails out to people as an invitation. I'm fine with the 18th for our virtual Christmas party. That's fine with me, but and then announce that on the 19th, there'll be this music, Santa, that kind of thing. If that works for you, Shannon.
Yeah, the official title I'm calling it is Home for the Holidays, a Bonnechere Christmas.
Home for the Holidays has a whole new meaning now. So does that work for everybody? So what I would ask is that, Annette, if we could get our staff to email each of the different organizations, the food bank, seniors, Fairfields, the library, all of our staff, obviously, EGC board, food bank. Yeah. So if we can organize the people that normally would come to our party, and quite frankly, if it's virtual, if anybody wants to join, because I totally agree with Shannon that connection right now is very difficult. And I think going into the Christmas season, not being able to connect directly, you know, it's dark when we wake up, it's dark by 4 o'clock in the afternoon is going to weigh heavy on people. So I think that the more we can do, the better. And yeah, Shannon, I can't thank you enough. So do you have everything you need at this point, except for Santa, food bank, Yak, and Cheryl?
Yes, I do.
You do. So you don't need anything else from us?
No, I don't need anything else from you guys.
Okay, thank you. So I'm just gonna ask council, are there any other, so I'll leave it up to Merv. Although I believe it's Tom Cadets that normally does Santa for a parade. So if Merv can find,
It doesn't matter. I said, if you're stuck.
yeah, okay, I think I can get the fire chief to reach out. So we can all chip in to help out with this endeavor. Council, anybody have anything further for Shannon?
All I want to say is thanks very much, Shannon. That's a great idea. In these times, it's nice to have some members in our community bring such great ideas forward to help us out as council too. So I really appreciate it, Shannon.
No worries.
Yeah, absolutely. I was going to speak on behalf of all of council. Thank you so much, Shannon. You're truly a community champion and we really appreciate it. And yep, there you go. Give yourself a pat on the back, Shannon.
I like it. It's like the Brady Bunch. I like this. Like, who am
I know. See, if you, on my screen, if you look up, you're Cindy Brady and you're looking up at Tim, who is Jan Brady.
All right.
And I'll be the number 3 in line for Santa. We're starting to get a little gray in the beard here. We had a birthday yesterday, and I think I threw a few more white hairs and gray hairs on the head here. So yeah, for sure.
All right. Then
Andrew, you're actually Alice.
I've already been in contact with all of my performing artists, and we're pretty much planning times on when to record. So if there's anything that once you find out, I guess, once we can record the John, or if he has something, or Cheryl, or yourself, Jen, or whatever on your side of things,
Sure.
give me a message and let me know. And
Absolutely.
Okay.
I will make that happen, Shannon. Yeah, I will put together a special message for that particular video
Okay.
on behalf of all of council.
Okay.
Yeah, that's lovely.
All right. That's all I got.
Okay, so Shannon, you'll keep in touch with myself and Annette then?
I will.
Thank you. Have a great day. Say hi to Crystal and the boys.
Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.
Wow, that was a really nice idea. That's fantastic. All right, Kevin, right on schedule.
Perfect.
Move to your report, sir. Go ahead.
I like that. Right on time. Perfect timing.
Right on time.
Yeah.
Well, I keep the trains a running.
That's good. Just the arena, the minor hockey is continuing. We're starting control scrimmages this weekend. So that's going to be a little bit of a learning curve because just to accommodate everybody and keep within our numbers. So anyways, it's we got the first weekend underneath our belt. I'll be happy and without too many hiccups. But anyways, we'll go from there. Our previous public skating numbers were low. But anyways, on Sunday we had 50. So at that given time, we had to lock the doors because we were there. Anyways, there was a few people came in and we just explained the situation. So I don't know what more we can do, but that was their first time. So we'll have to wait and see what goes on. So.
Your phone's ringing off the hook.
Kevin.
All right.
Okay, we're good. Anyways, I like, it's a great turnout for public skating. Definitely well appreciated. So anyways, we have.
Kevin, I think you're following the provincial guidelines. When you get to 50, unfortunately, that's it.
Yeah, that's all we can do. That's all we can do.
We're
Anyways,
not making the rules, we're just following them.
that's right. Yeah. As you can see up the Legion field, the works department was pouring some manholes in town, so I jumped on board and we made one order of cement and utilized the load. So it worked out well. So we got a new pad underneath the bleachers there, so everything looks good. So it turned out well.
Good. Thanks for the photos. It's always nice to see, right?
Yeah, no, thanks. No, they really looks good. Really looks good.
Yeah.
Centennial Park, just cutting some dead trees. We have a few more to clean up. A lot easier to clean up when all the leaves are blowing away, so it's less cleanup. Just got the branches and that. So, and the outdoor rink, we're cleaning it up. So once we do get the snow and Mother Nature, we just have to pack it and get ready to flood. And I was talking to Dave about utilizing the fire department guys just to get the base for us to get going, and we can make it happen. The only with the outdoor rink, we'll just have, I'm not sure what we're going to do. Some places are like, we'll have to put signage up once the time comes, just to use at your own risk, and like, social distancing. That's all you can really do. I'm not sure what else we can put in place because we're not there to monitor it. Any suggestions or any ideas of signage or?
I want to think on that. I definitely use at your own risk. Definitely social distance. The rules right now, unstaffed events, you're only allowed 10 people, correct? Okay. That's a bit of a concern because I know how when that rink is in operation, it is quite popular. I think we should think on that. I don't think that we're going to be flooding if you wanted to join us, Kev, at our next meeting, maybe between you and Annette, you could ask other municipalities with outdoor rinks what they're doing. I would like to know because we are in that guideline of only 10 people at an unstaffed event, which is a bit of a challenge. Yes, Tim.
Would that fall into an event though? Or is it because it would, Annette? Yeah, because we don't limit how many people are in the park. And if people are just skating on a certain part of it, as long as they're following the guidelines or what's going on. Tell me, Annette. I see you're shaking your head there.
It's only because I just had my CAO meeting this morning and the health unit and the ministry were on the call. And the health unit did confirm today that, yes, if it's an unmonitored, so if it's at a facility, a township facility, it's considered an unmonitored event if you don't have somebody there taking names. Now, if we wanted to hire somebody there to take names and to monitor it all the time, then yes, we could have 100 people on the rink because outdoors 100, indoors 50. But if it's unmonitored, then you are allowed to still open, but you have to put up a sign that people have to wear masks, they have to social distance, and there's only 10 people allowed on the rink. And if more than 10 people are found on the rink, then, I don't know whether we tell people, then the rink will have to be shut down. So it's how responsible people are going to be to do that. Because I think to have someone there monitoring it all the time is going to be too expensive. And so the health unit did confirm that today. So most of the municipalities are not opening their outdoor rinks, was sort of the discussion that went down this morning with the CAOs, because this is a real concern, but I can continue to monitor that. Our next meeting is December 9th and have another discussion at that time, and things may change by then. So, and I know Kevin also attends the recreation meetings with all the other directors across the county. So I'm sure it will come up at your next meeting, because I know Ron was on the call as well, the recreation director for Pembroke. So I'm sure that's going to come up in your next meeting. I don't know when your next meeting is, but I had my note to talk to you, Kevin, but I didn't get to you yet today. Sorry.
Yeah, our next meeting's at the end of the month, so this was going to be a discussion because it was going to be I know it was going to be a hot topic.
Once again, COVID ruins everything. That outdoor rink is so bloody popular. This just ticks me off. Yes, Merv, go ahead.
I was going to say, I don't believe it's monitored now. If a group showed up with hockey sticks and a ball and decided to play ball hockey, it's not monitored. So
True story.
put on skates and take a putt, not monitored.
Yes, Brent.
Sorry.
I was just gonna say, like monitoring everything. This is probably the year that the outdoor rink's gonna get used the most as well. So end of the day, realistically, if it's 10 people, it doesn't really make a difference to like the splash pad. I don't think we keep numbers on that, or parks or anything. So at the end of the day, the classification of it as an event doesn't make much sense. But I think that really the point of it is to really emphasize that we're going to open out the outdoor rink, figure out how, if we need more volunteers and everyone wants to pick a day, they got to sit at the rink and see if 100 people can be there, then, or you have an on-call number saying, hey, there's 10 people here, can you just go make a list? I don't really care. End of the day, really the solution is I want them open, and we have to figure out how. If we need more volunteers, then Kevin and the fire department can ask for more help. So.
Yes, Tim.
I agree with Brent. I've had people in the community approach me to say or see if they could help out, and rather than holding a hose, maybe they could just basically sit there, look at their iPad or iPhone or whatever they want to do on their social media while they count people coming and going. I think we can make it happen. So it's outside. We got to let
I know.
have a
I
little
feel the
bit.
same way. I feel like it's outside, and so.
When you look at even at the schools, the kids are playing outside. They're allowed to play outside together. We shouldn't be restricting them anymore because they're doing a physical activity, staying healthy, promoting good a lifestyle. So I think we should encourage it rather than try to deter it.
I think what the health unit was trying to get across was that they want contact tracing. So that's the challenge, right? But guys, look, I was at a wake this weekend. I was at a funeral and then at a cemetery, and there were 100 of us in that cemetery. And I think, we were all outside, physical distance. We had masks on. I think that our new normal, I think people will, they will follow the rules as the rules are laid out for the majority of time. But yeah, if we need a volunteer or two, if things get out of hand, but I think, Kevin, through your staff, even a drive-by at sort of what you think would be peak hours, which I would think would be around that 5 to 7 o'clock time, just to see, how many people are on the rink. But I agree with my colleagues, not opening the outdoor rink to me is a non-starter. Yes, Merv.
I agree with Tim. The people that are probably out there playing hockey are people that go to school together anyway.
Yeah, they're already in their bubble.
They're already in their bubble.
Absolutely. And I've driven by both schoolyards in the past couple of weeks, and the kids are out there playing together. So All right, well, Kevin, I think signage, absolutely. Let's start with that. But again, I don't see the rink being able to be open until at least the middle of December with the weird weather we're having. Like, it's supposed to go back up into the double digits by the end of the week. So,
Yeah.
yeah. Strange weather.
Okay, no, and the thing is, if it does, winter does change, then we can, start and then monitor it, and that's all we can do. If we do get some concerned ratepayers about numbers, then we'll just have to act on it. That's all we can really do. So.
Okay, but I think that what you're hearing from council though is that you probably should organize some signs.
Yeah. Okay.
That in the works. Thank you.
Okay, Cormac Park, we did some dead trees there. We're notified there were some dead windfall trees, so we trimmed those up, and we had some loads of gravel in our budget, so it worked out well. The lad works firm was up there with the grader, so just coordinated it and it worked out. So worked out well. The village, working on the lights right now between the rec department and the works. So we're just checking over the lights for the bridge. So hopefully next week we're talking to Ronnie Bim and going to coordinate with him to get the lights up. And
I just want to draw council's attention. There was an error and I confirmed it with Annette. Kevin's report says that the lighting is on the 27th, but Dana says the 26th. It is in fact Friday, the 27th, correct, Annette? Okay. Just wanted to, just because competing reports, I didn't want people to not know. Go ahead, Kev.
Okay, so the in horticulture, if everybody saw the planters, they're doing a great job. They look sharp, It's a little boost to get everybody in the spirit kind of deal. So it's a nice addition, very nice addition.
Yes, this was what I was saying earlier about how our volunteers, they just keep going. COVID or no COVID, they're just taking the bull by the horns. I love the fact that, they're not, as Premier Ford said, they're not waiting for the 18 signatures to do something beautiful and small. They're just doing it. So yeah, thanks to the Horticultural Society.
Our tree lighting, it'll be a little smaller this year, but it'll still look sharp because the lights around the tour information booth will be all working, and the nativity scene will be in place. So anyways, hopefully we have a great viewing of that, or a great night for it. So
yes, Tim.
I'm just wondering if we've addressed the massive power bar situation that we've had at the from last year. If we've had, if there's anybody that can, help or donate an extension cord or a piece of electrical item that we don't have 14 cords jammed into one outlet there, is that solved, Kevin? Because we really don't want to let the smoke out of the tourist information booth anymore.
No, that hasn't been rectified yet, but we'll try to accommodate maybe some more extension cords.
Maybe if you have, talk with maybe Chief Murphy to see if he'll pass that or not when things are done. Because I was a social media thing last year. We all took a picture of how many were plugged in, and I've seen on the Bonnechere Valley fire department's social media page that do not do this. So we're conflicting the do's and don'ts. So it just ahead of time, we do have a couple weeks. We can see maybe if we can kind of get that in the right direction, because it is a lovely building. We don't want to take any chance.
It was a big Clark Griswold. Yeah.
Okay.
Good, Tim. Good catch.
Thanks, Tim.
I know.
Well, it was Jack's stepson that plugged them in. So
Doing it with a stick and rubber gloves and insulated boots.
I was gonna say, better wear rubber boots.
Walk it in. Who's going to be the volunteer this year?
The sacrificial lamb. Rubber gloves. All right.
Okay.
That guy in.
I
Oh,
guess things to discuss. We've kind of talked about them already. So the outdoor rink, we'll look after that. Public skating, we have sponsors at the end of December, so we're in good shape. Once December sort of gets flowing along, I'll start reaching out to other sponsors for January, just to make things to make sure we're still going in the right direction.
I'll sponsor, Kev.
Okay.
And I'm sure Murphy's Auto would as well. I'll ask the owner.
Okay.
I think we will.
Okay. I guess one is the senior needs advertisement, board advertisement in the rink. Every year there's a cost to have that advertisement up on the wall. I was under the understanding, but maybe I guess they have to approach us every year to see what council's decision on waiving it or charging the Senior Needs Association. What's council's feeling?
Knowing how much that they do in this community, I think that we waive the fee. And I know that they've changed their branding now to make it less senior oriented, but more of community hub and for, you know, young seniors as well. But it would be my feeling that we waive it, but I'll open it up to council. Yes, Brent.
I was just going to say, just to waive it.
Thank you. Any problems? Yep. Tim's thumbs up. Merv, you're good. Excellent, Jack. Awesome. That's unanimous. Thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you very much. Anyways, we'll let them know, and I'll let Connie know because she's does the billing to that. So it was a question was asked to us, so I wasn't 100% sure.
Yeah, for the cost of it too. I mean, they do so much in our community. We're so lucky to have them. So yeah.
I have one other inquiry that just come in this morning. It's from the Renfrew Timberwolves, Eagleville Timberwolves. They were inquiring about the upstairs for additional attendance. So the thing with that is upstairs is, I was up there this morning and measured it out. We can only get about 7 people across the front of the glass to keep their social distancing of 6 feet.
Right.
So can you put 2 rows and still keep 6 feet apart? Yes, you can, and still have a pretty good view of the ice surface. I guess what they're looking for is additional spectators, just to cover the costs right at this given time. But even at that, they're looking at 14 people. We can have 50 people up there, providing they keep their social distancing. But then you have to. They're not going to see the rink. They're not going to see the whole game, because once you get so far back from the glass, the visibility is gone. So I'm not sure what to say on that. The people at the glass are going to have a great view, but that's only 7 people.
Oh, that's so frustrating. Yeah. Yeah, you might be able to see the far end, but you certainly wouldn't see anything at this end.
No, yeah. Once you get inside the blue line, the people the visibility is going to be very minimal.
I'm seriously having t-shirts made that say COVID ruins everything. That what a shame in our very first year with this amazing team with us, and this happens. Yes, Brent, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, well, I guess it's seven groups that people could technically go if they're from the same cohort, Kevin, or no? Is it just because how the distance works? But I would just say, just tell them what qualifies it being 7 groups or 7 individuals, the spacing, and then just offer it to them. And if they need more support from the council, I think this is kind of least we can do. So makes sense.
Yeah, if a husband and wife comes in, absolutely, they can go upstairs and they can, they don't need to do the social distancing. However, you get 7 other people coming in individually, they're taking up that extra space. So
Right. So your minimum would be 14, but I mean, I'm just wondering, to Brent's point, if you had a family of 4, are you now eliminating one of those 7 spots?
that's correct, because they don't have to social distancing. They got to still wear their mask, but they don't have to keep that space.
But if they're taking up, so you have a husband and wife in plot number 1, and then number 2, you've got a family of 4. Does that still allow 7 across? If you've got 4 people in a bubble, but now you're spread out a little more, Kevin, you know what? I think you're gonna have to play it by ear. Opening the Eagle's Nest, I totally agree with, for more spectators. I think it's going to be frustrating for our staff, but I think it's the right thing to do.
Okay. Anyways, we'll see how it goes. We have a game 2 weeks from this Sunday, so we'll wait and see how they're. The only question, I have to be careful with that because they do advanced attendance, so I'll have to make sure I give them a firm number so then when they sell their tickets, that we have the right number.
Right. Yes, Annette.
Kevin, is there any way you can get the game on the screen in the room? I know that's not the same. I know if you paid tickets to get into the, you're watching it on a screen, should you stay at home and watch it, but you're still in the arena, I guess. Like, can you, because it's streamed live, right?
That's correct. Yeah.
So can you get it on the screen at the back?
That I don't know. I'd have to ask.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's not the same, but then you are, you're in a bar, basically, right? You actually get to see other human beings. Yes, Brent.
Oh, I didn't have my hand up, but I was gonna
I'm
say.
sorry, I thought you did. Now I'm just seeing things. I call it COVID brain. All right.
Whatever we can do to make more people able to go within the Ontario policy, then I say let's go at it and let's try to make it enjoyable remainder of the year.
And yeah, they're just looking, reaching out, and anyways, I'll see what we can do and make it work the best. And we have to stay within our guidelines too. So we'll just have to be cautious. Okay, that's okay. So then I'll get back to them and just say, okay, and I'll tell them what we can do or what we can offer, and it's up to them then to see if they want to continue with that. So
Okay.
the other thing with that is when they go upstairs, they'll have to stay upstairs. They cannot come back down because we still have to maintain our 50 capacity out on the spectator side. So once they go up that stairs, they got to go out the other way. They can't come back down because then I'm over. So
Right.
it's that's why the numbers are so we have to be bang on.
I can sense your frustration.
It's just lots of hoops.
Yep, lots of hoops. Literally hula hoops.
Yeah.
That's for your bubbles.
Yeah.
All right. Did anybody have anything for Kevin on his report? And on Dana's report? I'm very pleased to see Kevin and Annette that Dana is continuing on with the recommendations given by wayfinders, that she's trying to move things ahead. I think that's I think that these tools are going to be very useful for us. All right, nothing further for Kev? Okay, get back to work, Kevin.
Okay.
Have a
See
great
ya,
day.
bye-bye. Yeah.
Bye. All right, Annette. What I'm going to do, guys, is Annette can go through just the beginning of her report, but then when we get to our operational review, I'm going to have Annette share the screen. And I understand, Annette, you're going to be sharing the screen for your report on the Algonquin proposed land settlement as well. I will warn you, if your internet is not good, for some reason, when people screen share, some of us will freeze up. If you shut your video off, you'll be able to see the presentation in its entirety. What I will do is when we get to the end of the Algonquin settlement, I'll open it up for questions. So Annette, I'll ask you to unshare your screen. We'll come back, ask for questions. And then I know that this is going to sound very complicated, but with your Excel spreadsheet for the OR, can we do one page at a time, please? So yes. I think administration, council, risk management, I know they're not, I don't have them in order in my brain, yep. But, and then we can come out of screen share and open it up to questions so things are fresh in people's brains. Is that okay? Everybody?
And then we'll do the Algonquin maps after.
Oh, you want to do the Algonquin? Oh, yeah. Sorry. I'm sorry. Operational review is first. My bad. So yeah, if that's all, if that okay. Is okay with everybody, because I know full on Annette's going to share her screen and I won't be able to read it because my screen will freeze.
Okay.
Gotta love technology, people. Gotta love technology.
Okay. So I'll just touch on my report first before we get into the Excel spreadsheet. So as everybody saw on Facebook, the flags are up at the municipal office. So I think, yeah, the public works crew did a great job. So thanks very much, guys. They look wonderful. So they were well worth the extra bit of money to get the poles as opposed to hanging off the buildings, I thought. But yeah, and we had them budgeted, so perfect.
I actually went and personally thanked the two roads crew that were there on site putting them up. They look absolutely beautiful. And I want to thank you and Dana and Annette for ensuring that proper protocol of flag flying was adhered to. I didn't realize that there are a lot of different protocols. So
there are. Maybe
for our viewing public, if you have 3 flags, the Canadian flag always goes in the middle. And then and I've been asked this, and then it's alphabetical. So Bonnechere Valleys is on the left and Ontario is on the right. And I've already been asked about that because they felt Ontario should have been on the left. So that's that protocol. But if you have 4 flags, the Canadian flag goes to the left. So just, you know, this is like fun with flags. If anybody watched The Big Bang Theory, but
Sheldon.
Tim obviously did. So that's the protocol. And Dana and Annette did some research to make sure, you know, that we didn't make a huge mistake with something so big. Yes, Tim.
Who has the time in their day to research that, to complain about it?
I don't know if this person, I was asked to
okay.
Remembrance Day.
Oh, okay. No, I had no idea. I thought that it would be, you know, perfectly acceptable. Just to, yeah. But I knew there would be a method to it, but for sure, that's something for sure.
Well, the good thing is, sorry.
Oh, I was just gonna say, you'd be surprised. A lot of people have a lot of time on their own hands, so it doesn't surprise me if someone did complain, or especially or videoed the guys putting the flags up, because it's its own protocol, everything, right? So.
And don't get me wrong, it wasn't a complaint. It was just a
Okay,
question.
no,
Why is the Ontario flag not to the left?
Yeah.
So, you know,
And the good thing is if we don't do it right, someone will tell us. So we appreciate that, you know?
that's right. That's right. But they look absolutely beautiful. And we were coming back from the funeral on Saturday, and the breeze was just right that all three of them were flying just perfectly. So it made me very happy.
Yeah, and now we have 2 flower boxes instead of 1 out front.
Yes.
As the office staff thought that it looked better. Then the one flower box looked a little lonely then with the 3 flags. So we expanded that work, and the Horticultural Society was very kind in taking on the second box with very little notice. So that worked out well.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yay for them.
So so we did start having the senior leadership team, which I'm calling our super leadership team now. We did have our first meeting on October the 30th. We're meeting again in November. And then after that, we're going to start meeting every Wednesday after council. It just keeps things fresh in everybody's mind as to what was discussed. And then, you know, if, you know, like Kevin's going to now reach out to Dave on this, on the rinks, the fire chief. And, you know, Jason might end up, our public works superintendent might end up having to reach out to our Recs department manager for something. So it just kind of makes it easier for a meeting the very next day, you know, and that way we're all talking about, so here's what's going on, you know, at council, here's decisions coming up. And so we're going to try that and see if everybody can make that. I realize it's 2 meetings a month, but you know, I think the more you meet, sometimes the shorter the meetings are. So sometimes you actually end up saving time meeting more often instead of once a month. So I don't expect them to be super long. Everybody seems to work really well together, and nobody seems to be shy about sort of talking about here's my concern, here's what I think, you know, here's what we can do together and stuff like that. So yeah, so working towards just improving collaboration between departments and experience as well, because everybody's at a different level, and I think it's going to work great, especially with the budget timetable sort of coming up. So we had some discussion about that, and hoping that water and sewer will be submitted by the end of November to myself and Sandra. We're going to go through it and bring it back to council hopefully on the 16th, and the other budgets will be reviewed in December and then come back for the budget day, the full day at some point in January or early February, depending on how January turns out. And that way, if we get it passed earlier this year, we'll be able to tender earlier and make sure that the construction season starts earlier. So some savings there and an ability to get the jobs done. And hopefully, as much as we still have to deal with COVID, it won't shut us down as badly as it did last year. So.
Annette, just on January, anybody want to go, sorry, I'm behind the times. Did anybody want to join the Roma conference virtually? I will be, because I actually, with county, I have a delegation or 2, I think. And I'm sure that Annette and I are going to come up with our own delegations, because that's how we roll. Nobody else wants to attend? All right. So Annette, we just sign you and I. Oh, yes, Tim, go ahead.
I just wanted to go back to something Annette had touched on with tenders and such. If we do have our budget wrapped up a little bit earlier, is there a way, will that help us get on the scene with the construction stuff? Because I've noticed a lot of things that have been happening repeatedly year after year, and it's not just with our guys, but right across the board. There's always a big rush in October to get things done, and they're always coming down to the wire, and the weather is dictating their workday. If by us doing our budget earlier, do you think, in your opinion, is it possible that we can get our stuff on the go, tenders answered and stuff prior to, or are we still on that fine timeline with, provincial funding and stuff?
It's a little bit of both. So it will allow us to tender and start the jobs earlier if we get them organized. But the problem is that you do still, other municipalities are doing the same thing. So there's only so many hours and days in the year for these companies. And yes, they do, they tender and we state a start date and we state an end date and they do their best to fit everybody in. So, and you never know, sometimes you run into a complication like you couldn't possibly have predicted. So, I mean, I definitely think it will get us started sooner. And so then it will get us finished sooner. But yeah, depending on everybody's availability and any. Yeah.
Also is that we didn't get that provincial grant. We didn't get that provincial grant for the bridge until June or May. That's the other challenge.
Yeah.
And that's not what I'm getting at, Jen or Annette, but I'm just wondering if we couldn't get a little bit further out the gate if we plan our stuff now for May, because usually we have our May season where things, and there's a lot of contractors just itching to get out the gate. They want to get their fleets rocking and rolling, and there's nothing released, right? If we could have, a jump on it to get them, then we actually end up with a better product and we end up with better results if we're not trying to put asphalt down in the freezing rain.
Yeah, and you have to wait for half loads to come off. So you're done until June anyway. But like Augsburg got done because it was gas tax and OSIF money. So we knew what we were getting. We knew ahead of time. We planned the project. And even though the budget didn't pass till the beginning of June, I mean, we were on that and done that early. So I do think, definitely we'll do our best to do that. But so depending on when we get told about our funding and depending on when we can tender, but we'll do our best to get it. Augsburg is I think going to continue next year, so we already sort of know what we're doing. So
the point being though, I'm just wondering if we can set ourselves up so we're looking at we know we're going to be doing road construction and doing a lot of things next year. Is there a way we can have our irons in the fire prior to kind of get the lead out, set ourselves up for now doing the stages and the planning rather than doing it in June or February where everybody else is trying to do the same thing. Like I say, I know a lot of these construction companies, they're itching to get out the gate in June, at first June or prior to, only they have nowhere to go. And if we could, start using, if we know we're doing that sort of thing ahead of time, if that would be something beneficial to our residents.
Well, and generally we base our construction on our asset management plan. Obviously, sometimes that has to be tweaked as you all know, you trade off one road for another because it's in a disastrous situation. But certainly, I mean, if you took our asset management plan and figured out what our OSIF would be, what we're willing to budget out of the levy, certainly we could do that. But again, there are other municipalities fighting for those spots in May and June and July as well. Yes, Merv, go ahead.
No, Annette covered it. I was going to say you can't get going until half loads are off anyhow. Yeah. Be nice to get the tendering out, but
no, but the thing is, Merv, a lot of stuff can be done that doesn't require an overweight truck up until because we always end up getting really good weather in May, 99% of the time. I'm not trying to say that, it always happens, but we do. It's not like they have to start hauling stuff in a big way. And a lot of times they do come off early. The 15th of May has been the norm for a long time. And no, you can't do anything ahead of that, but there's a lot of prep work you can do with brushing and such. And I think the guys have done that in the past too, but have it ready. So when the half load signs are taken down, that the shovels are ready to start working. And for the most part, there's a lag where people start doing that June 1st stuff, where that's when they start their initial ramp up to, and then they get them in the middle of June or the end of June or the start of July. And more often than not, you see things getting going in September, and then they're battling the cold and the frost. And back in the day, in my experience, when it came down to any kind of pavement or surface treating, the rule of thumb, and even on I talked to the engineers here on the Fort Chute Road, was 7 degrees and rising. Well, before they can actually put any product down, well, there's a lot of time when, you lose time and you lose quality if you go below that. So, we can avoid maybe some issues in the future if we can try and get things like that get off the ground. I know that should be a Jason topic, but just when we're talking about that, I just thought, that's always been in the back of my head to get things up and running you know, now is a good time to plan for that. I would
Yep.
much rather
Yep.
do that in the spring.
And we plan to
Agreed.
bring budget earlier this year, so that should assist. Yeah.
They're doing the line painting on 5/12 today. I'm not sure how that's going to work out for them in this weather.
Well.
Before we leave this, your administration report, do you just want to talk about, is it eScribe that you sent us this morning?
Oh, sure. Yeah, that's part of the organizational review as well. That's one of the line items was to talk about electronic meetings. So I know in the previous municipality that I was with, we used a service called iCompass, and it had much more capacity than what we were using it at. So we were using it at the lowest, cheapest level. And so, you know, eScribe is the software that's being supported by AMO. And so I think that their prices maybe are a little bit lower for that purpose. And but they're both good products, and so something for council to look into, because in discussing with eScribe, there are quite a bit of savings. And I can tell you just from my previous experience with it, when I brought electronic agendas into it, the time saving, you know, and I was dealing with staff who really was paper, and council that was very paper oriented, and not, you know, kind of when this was coming up was like, really? But they couldn't believe, like staff, you know, might have taken a month, maybe 6 weeks to get used to it and trained in it, couldn't believe the time that it saved. And so when they sort of talked about, here's your return on investment and here's the savings that you're going to get out of doing this electronically, I've seen it firsthand. I don't know if it's quite as high as what they're predicting, but I can guarantee you it is for sure. There is a savings in ink. There is a savings in paper. Now we do a lot of our stuff electronically already, so some of that won't be there. But as far as staff time, yeah, putting it together, you know, right now we're sending it as a zip file, but we're also printing it out, we're scanning it in, we're sending it as a PDF, and all of that. You know, it might only take a few hours, but a few hours of time is spent on stuff like that. It really starts when you get it back, you can't believe it. So it's something I'd like to look into. So I do have a call out with them again tomorrow. And what I'm hoping is to get a demo. What I'm hoping is to get it free for a month or 2 or 3 months, because I'd like council to see, and I'd like you to get comfortable with it before spending more money on more software. So I don't know whether they'll be interested in doing something like that. But there's a couple different companies out there, and that's what I'd kind of like you to see, and I'd like the staff to see it as well, because I think as soon as you make the switch, it's similar to county council packages that I'm sure Jennifer has seen. Like, they work great, right? You go back to the agenda, you click on the item, you're down, you're up, you're not scrolling. So
Yeah, with a 450-page report, we couldn't do them like this, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's
So not only trying to review your report, but in navigating it during the meeting it would be impossible. I only touch on it and that outside of it just because you only sent the email, you only found out this morning. And so I just wanted to make sure that everybody had read it before we move into your additional review.
Yeah.
All right. So you want to, if there's nothing else on that, then let's move into the OR. I'm really excited about this. I'm really pleased that you and Sandra were able to make this happen so quickly, because I know that there were a lot of recommendations.
Yeah. No, for sure. And okay. So I'll just go back to the administration. Which I guess, let me see if
as soon as you did that, the little buffering thing came up. It eats bandwidth. I don't know why.
Sorry, I'm just going to make it bigger because the view is pretty. Sorry, 100%. There. Is that better, or is that better for people to see, or?
Yep.
Okay. So yeah, so Sandra put together this spreadsheet and all the recommendations into it, and her and I went through them and you know, talked about the different action items out of each recommendation. So if I start at administration, you'll see, it talked about members of the senior management team developing formal processes and procedures for handling and tracking complaints so that they're all sort of done in a consistent manner. That always makes it easier for residents when doesn't matter what you're calling to complain about. And I don't even like to call them complaints. That sometimes it's just a concern. It's just somebody in the community who has a concern about something or has a question or wants to know something or has seen something that doesn't seem right and that kind of thing. So these can be submitted and can be dealt with in a similar manner so that, everyone's always getting an answer in a timely manner and it's following the procedure accordingly. So we did, Dana and I did have a conversation with Evan, our website designer, who said that, it can be created. These pages can be created at minimal cost. So people can still call us and put in the work order or the concern or complaint, and we can pop it into that system. And that's way, one, they're tracked. So it's kind of nice if we get a call about a street light going out or whatever it is, and it's been tracked and we know that we've received it and we know that we've gotten it and we know that it's been given to who it's been given to and it's been dealt with. So that's kind of nice to know because we could get 2 or 3 calls about the same street light, but we can just say to the person, no, I see it's already been recorded today. That's no problem. It's been handled. And if that street light happens to be going out on a more regular basis, maybe there's a bigger problem going on. So it just makes for tracking and procedurally answering things. So something I want to sort of discuss at our super leadership team meetings and going forward, sort of develop a process and a protocol, and then go forward with Evan and develop an actual form and a way to deal with it. So that's that item. Sorry, I don't know. I guess I can share the screen, but I can't go down. Can't actually.
Annette, what I did was I clicked on AG01 when I brought it up and I could click down.
I don't know how many of us are trying to read this anyway. Maybe just go on with the presentation.
Well, it was in our package.
Yeah, it was in our package.
Just right click, rotate.
The problem is for those of us on an iPad, I have to turn my head sideways. And if I turn my iPad, then it turns sideways.
Yeah, I ran into that earlier, Jen. I did this whole review with my head tilted.
I'm so glad. Annette's gone. I see.
Annette is gone. Yep, we lost Annette.
Brent's the host. I actually asked Annette, what do I do here? I have my crook in my neck from reading the package sideways, and she giggled at me and said, Tim, you just gotta right click and turning it. You can do so by saying rotate. So I'm glad I'm not the only guy that's not quite computer literate here in the room.
Annette got the blue screen of death. Uh-oh. She said, I will be right back.
This report brought to you by Sandra Barr. Okay, Sandra, you're up.
Take it away, Sandra.
But literally, so if
she's smiling. She wants the job. You go right ahead there, Sandra. Take it away. Oh, Annette's back.
Hey, you're all still there.
You got the blue screen of death, Annette.
Yes, I did, with a big sad face on it.
I was going to say, you can have my laptop if you want it, Annette. It's all right.
Hey, Annette. Annette, it's very comforting to me.
Yes?
Three other members of council have had a sore neck from reading your stuff sideways.
I see.
That's why I wanted you to share the screen.
And the fourth one remembered how to to rotate.
When you're on an iPad, it's sideways. And if you tilt your iPad to try and make it go straight, it twists again. Yep. See, Brent's got the same challenge I've got.
Well, you can rotate your document, but I had to do it per page, so it's just easier to keep my neck tilted, and you get used to it after 30 minutes. So,
well, I read Annette's report on my laptop, but that's why I thought sharing the screen might be easier.
All right. Sorry. I will try again.
All right, you take it away.
All right. So. Okay. So that was AG01. So I'll finish the page and you can interrupt me if you want to, and then I'll go through each page. So AG02 had to do with accessibility. So we want to be compliant with accessibility, and we want to make sure that we have proper notice policies and protocols in place. So I am on the county accessibility advisory committee as well. So there are some changes coming up in January 2021. And I have talked to Evan as well about our website and things like that. So we do need to develop a notice policy and update it to make sure that we are making sure that everybody gets their proper notification of what's happening and that it is fully accessible to the residents. So working on that. Working on that basically with the county through the Accessibility Advisory Committee, and also with Evan and with Dana for technical assistance. So the regular meetings of our super leadership team, as I've already reported, have begun, and they are going to continue on. So right now, currently, what I do and have done since I started here was an action item list of all of the things that sort of come out of council and who they're directed to and what their due dates are. And I've been sharing that with staff and departments. So this is just another way to keep in touch and sort of discuss what's coming up forward, and also follow up on sort of council's direction to the different departments. So authorities. So the delegation of authority bylaw is pretty weak. So I don't know how council feels about delegating more authority to the CAO, but there definitely is certain things that I know our neighboring municipalities don't want to take every last thing to council, and it does make sense to delegate some of that authority to the CAO. And in some instances, it's actually the CAO dealing with it, but they haven't technically been delegated authority. So we just want to make sure that everything I'm doing, I'm delegated authority to do, and sort of have a look and see, are there other things that council's like, yeah, don't come to us to ask us for that. You can report on it and give us the information and let us know what happened there, because council wants to stay informed, but we don't really need to be making that decision, although it's given to us, under the municipal act or any other act is given to the council. You may be interested in doing that through a delegation of authority bylaw. So just going to review some of our neighboring municipalities and present a draft to council in the future, likely in 2021. So there's the eScribe report that we were just talking about that I did email to council, demonstrating benefits of this type of software, as I discussed earlier. So definitely looking into that and moving forward with that, probably for the first meeting of January 2021. Make a changeover in the new year. Oh yes, this is an interesting report. So a standardized advanced radar report, sort of a list of upcoming meetings and future things that are going to happen in the next few months, so that we're not just discussing what was discussed yesterday at council, we're also discussing what's coming forward. So this is definitely something that I want to discuss with the super leadership team to sort of get their input on it, and what should be a part of this report, and then develop it so that we're using it going forward. So retaining files and giving out information. That's sort of the RDAD policy, that we're disseminating information, retaining information and data. Developing a policy for what stays in house, what information do we share, what requires an application under MFIPA, or what does staff just go ahead and photocopy and give to the residents. So just making that clear. It's just easier for everybody if we understand what do we have to give, what should we give, and and also what needs to be retained, because there's some information that stays with us forever. And another way to sort of save that information is to have it all electronic. So we do have lots of files, probably from the 18 and 1900s, that are paper only. The paper is disintegrating. So definitely want to talk about it at budget time. we can probably get everything scanned in over a 10-year period and maybe spend $2,000 a year over a 10-year period to get all of our old and very important documents and the history of the various different townships that make up Bonnechere Valley, so that that history is not lost as the paper slowly disintegrates. So there is a service that does provide that. And I know the previous CAO was looking into it as well. So that's something we can talk about at budget time. Oh yes, so the Public Works Superintendent did attend the contract tendering and legal requirements for municipalities, was not able to attend the day of, but did sign up through the county and got a copy of that recorded course. So just to get a little bit more experience with contract tendering and legal requirements going forward. Budget amounts, yes. So in our bylaw, we are approving the levy. We are approving the rates, but what we should be doing is also approving the amounts and sort of where those amounts are going to. Now we do that when the mayor and I sign off on the budget itself. We do the budget presentation, so we've got everything in the pie chart that shows where it's going. So we are being very open and transparent, and it's there, but should actually be included itself in the bylaw. So that's an easy change to make to next year's format. So asset management plans, strategic plans, yes. So we are working, Dana and already applied for the FCM funding to upgrade the asset management plan and get some policies and other master plans in place. Daryl is already in the works of getting his master servicing plan in place, which has to be done in 2021, as well as the asset management plan, because there's more requirements coming through regulations. So we are working on those plans, and the strategic plan, we do have quite a bit large document, which I do like some of the parts of it in the strategic plan for Bonnechere Valley, but the county did just renew theirs, and they've done it in a much smaller format, but I kind of like it. It touches on the key focuses for the municipality, and definitely that should be something that needs to be reviewed by the leadership team to say, here's all the different items in the strategic plan that are important to council moving forward. So anything that any projects or what you're doing, have a look at that and see how are you supporting the overall strategic plan for the municipality? Because I think that is an important conversation to have at budget time. So absolutely working that underway and trying to get funding because they can be costly. And sorry, that's, I guess, that long range. Yes, that's another part of the asset management plan through FCM funding is the long range capital plan and the reserve plan and things like that. So master servicing. So we are working on all of those things to get funding, and they're all sort of components of each other. So it will be another busy year in 2021. Training, yes, training for use of monthly variance reports. So I guess in the organizational review, they were feeling that these reports maybe were not being leveraged the way that they should be. So that's a discussion to have with the leadership team, because maybe they're using them and it's just not being demonstrated to the degree that they're using them. So it's a conversation to have with them to see how we can demonstrate more how they're using them, or if they are using them and it's fine, then maybe it's not something we need to look at all. It's just something that maybe came out of a conversation that isn't really an issue at all. So a little bit more investigation into that one, and same with the next one. So when they're connected completely. So in the variance reports, when the different departments are getting close to their expenditure levels, having a conversation with those department heads and saying, where are we at? And, maybe we shouldn't be, we either shouldn't be expending those funds, or can they be reallocated to something that we know is needed and we can go to council with, because it does appear that we do have a bit of a surplus of funds. Maybe something was budgeted more than what it actually came in at. So yes, the FIR, we did discuss that. So I did discuss that with Sandra. So we're gonna have a conversation with the auditors this year because it just depends on what time is that taking, and what are they charging, like who's doing that, and what is their hourly rate versus the hourly rate of the staff person that we would have doing it, and also what is the time involved, and what are we taking that person away from. So there, I absolutely agree that there are savings. I did do a bit of that at the previous township that I was with. I did go to the auditor's office and fill it out there, but you know, it's just, you have to sort of weigh that and see, is it saving us $1,000, and then what's it taking away from? Is it saving us $500, and then what's it taking away from? So going to work on investigating that this year. The reserve policy, like I said, we do have a reserve policy. It's just a little bit, bit of a lightweight policy, but you know, that's fine. And I think we definitely would have supported the policy and put the 1% away had COVID not happened. So, you know, and we just need more information to feed into it. We have an asset management plan that is, you know, 7 years old. And it's just a matter of updating the plan, reviewing it, and making it match with our reserve policy. But I mean, the fact of the matter is lots of municipalities don't even have them. So I mean, BV's ahead of the curve having one. It's just a matter of funding it and sort of getting out of COVID and all of those things that sort of go together. So electronic payments. So I guess it was more staff that sort of information was released that the county had a bit of a cyber attack the other day with electronic payments. So still a cautionary thing, and something to sort of discuss with our auditors and discuss with, you know, it's not that it can't be done. It's not, you know, it can be. Is it the best thing for the township? What are our risks? What are our savings? So more information there. Standing offers. So, I mean, for sure, we can look at that with engineers, with insurance, with auditors. You know, there's certain things that our waste engineers that do our monitoring, annual monitoring, you know, those are things that, you know, you find a company that really has the history and has the background and knows the sites and everything. So that does have value, but there's no reason not to, you know, have sort of a discussion with them and say, so, you know, instead of having discussion year over year, let's try to see whether we can come up with a 3-year or a 5-year plan, and, you know, what are our costs, and not just renewing with them automatically year over year, so that, you know, we're not even really looking at whether or not we could get it done cheaper elsewhere, although cheaper is not always better, but it makes sense to just kind of have a review of that. So, oh yeah, the management letter is no problem. It's just a request made to the auditors. So I think Sandra did have a quick conversation with them to let them know that this could possibly be coming. If council wants to review it every year, it's basically them just telling us ways we can improve our controls. Sometimes the answer is we can't improve our controls because we're short-staffed. And that's, at the end of the day, yes, the same person shouldn't be doing this and this, but we don't have anyone else to give it to. So yes, it is the same person writing checks and doing a bank rec. But, you know, we do have other oversights that are done in order to prevent that. So it's not like that person is also signing the checks and so on, and doing deposits and stuff. So the server, the website, the backup, we got a quote for it this year. We're looking at getting it done either by December 2020 if we get phase 2 or ICIP funding, if not early 2021, because it is something that's definitely needed. The next one is, so the website. Yeah, we're looking into that. We have guidelines that have to be done for January 1st, 2021 under the Accessibility Act. Well, building code inspections and fire inspections, yes. Digital software there for sure. We could look into that. There is a cost to that, you know, but for sure we can have a look at that. The 511, so we do the municipal 511. So the County of Brantford has a license they share with all of us, which is great. We have 211, but really all you're doing when you're calling 211 is, you know, they'll tell you the township office and our phone number. They don't really tell you too much more than, like, there's tons more information on our website. So, you know, it's something definitely we can sort of talk about and see if there's more information we can post in there. So laptops, yeah, I mean, it's fine. I can work on a laptop in the office, but I think things are working fine now. The laptop is here if I need it. My desktop is there if I need it, but maybe in time, if something needs to be replaced? Do we need to have both? And maybe we don't. So that could be a savings too. Cyber insurance, yes, I've already gotten a quote from our insurance, and also, of course, with the backup, the new server, that's part of it, is to continue to protect us in working with James. So I think the cyber insurance is, I mean, it's not cheap, but it is out there, and there have been municipalities in Ontario and Eastern Ontario that have been hit. So it's something that we should probably look at budget time. And as far as the OMS system, Sandra and I were again on a call, I think that was just yesterday, and we are working to get more training done. I do think this is the way of the future. When you're talking about modernization, when you're talking about the future of municipalities, softwares, electronics, like this is the way to go. This is how we're going to attract and retain the youth that want to get involved in municipal. They don't want to come in to an old-fashioned organization, sit at a desk, use a typewriter, look up files. They're not interested in that. They've been trained in a different way. They want to log everything in. They don't want to come back to the office at the end of the day and have to fill out a timesheet on a piece of paper to say what they did today. They want to punch it in real time. They want to be able to scan the barcode at whatever asset they were at. It's a very fast-paced world. And that's where we're headed in, and that's where the province has given us, modernization funding, and I think we're going to get there, and it's going to be something really exciting, probably in the next 10, maybe 20 years. We're government, we move slow, so but we're getting there. So that's page 1. This is the biggest,
right.
by the way.
Okay, do you want to unshare?
Yep.
Thank you. All right, now I can turn my video back on. All right, any comments, questions, concerns from Annette's administration recommendations? Yes, Merv.
Just, Annette, you touched on asset management and looking at what maybe assets we don't need. I go back to when we purchased the railroad. We also, along with the right-of-way at Ruby Station, we come along with about 4.5 acres. And at that time, I suggested that it would be put up for sale when nothing has happened to it except it's growing up in brush. Maybe we should, you're probably not aware of it, it was obviously long before you arrived here. Maybe we should be looking at getting a value of it and putting it up for sale. Can't see us using it for anything other than the railroad right-of-way, which it's detached from.
Okay, thank you. And I know Dana's working on putting together a list of municipally owned property to try and decide what we should and what we shouldn't own. So for sure, that's great, Murph. Thank you.
I was just going to say what you just said, Annette, is that through part of her recommendations, that was something that Dana was going to work on through wearing her community development, but also planning hat. So yeah, absolutely. Yes, Tim.
I just wanted to touch back on the delegated authority part of the section.
Absolutely.
One thing, Annette, I always look at is future and what can change in a short period of time with elections and so on and so forth, or CAOs sometimes go up into another position and such. One thing I always like to caution on is removing oversight from council. And that's a very slippery slope that can be taken. And not saying by you, but we don't know who's coming or who's going sometimes. This is a fast world. Mm-hmm. When I got here, there was a different CAO. I am not against council having as much input as what we have today, because I've seen other municipalities just recently, getting into some pretty front page news over things that have happened, and not saying that's going to happen with you, Annette, but I just like to eliminate those potentials, because if you have 5 elected officials looking over things, it protects you as well, and it keeps you out of that. I'm not saying it, not you, but future you, or you understand where I'm getting with that. I don't mind doing my job as far as, hey, it's a quick email for a lot of things. I don't know how far you want to go into that aspect of things, but I'm very comfortable with the way things are now. Just for that reason, because it keeps everything open to a lot of people, and it keeps future people from maybe getting into the weeds somehow. So that's just a concern of mine in that. And I said, and it's nothing against a personal deal in any way, shape, or form. It's just an easy way to keep everybody on the same page.
Yep.
Thanks for that, Tim. I think our delegated authority bylaw is quite outdated, especially for small procurement. This is something that we did at the county as well. I think in that, your proposal was that you were going to look at other municipalities and bring something back to us. And I think at that time we can sort of get into the weeds a bit more and see what we're dealing with right now and what could be. And I think that I agree with you, Tim. It protects the CAO as well when you've got 5 people looking at a situation. And you know, I think that there isn't one of us, I was going to say sitting at this table, sitting on your couches, there's not one of us that hasn't come into a meeting with sort of a finite thing in our heads and then thought through discussion, oh no, maybe that makes sense. So I think, you know, I agree that debate and discussion amongst ourselves is what I mean, this is governance, right? But I do agree. I'd like to see what we're dealing with now and what you come up with. There were a whole bunch of things that align directly with what's going on at the county. And I think your action items are dead on. I think that there are some things that we can implement lickety split, like you've already done your SLTs, and other things that, yes, we're going to be waiting for funding on. We're going to be waiting to hear about. This cybercrime thing is very scary. I will reiterate what you just said, Annette. We had an Eastern Ontario warden at one of our EOWC meetings present because they had been cyber attacked to the point that they had to pay to get their files back. And that's a scary, scary situation. So yeah, I think that there are some things that you're already like, oh, that can be done tomorrow. But you know, we are going to have to be patient with other things, especially due to funding and the cost of certain things. All right, was there anything else on page 1? And yes, that was the largest one. So, Brent, go ahead.
Oh, nothing. It's just, I was just making notes prior, but it was just on the one for AG02 is just for the notices by complaints by residents or recommendations. But pretty much it was just to ensure that we aren't going to just get a lot of anonymous, like it's the same as a lot of other townships have it. They have like the name, the address, email, or phone number to contact. It's just to keep the integrity and just so we don't end up with a lot of spam. And then, no, I just made notes, and a lot of the notes I made was a lot of the stuff makes a lot of sense. But it's the same as like what Tim has referenced to with delegation of power. I think when we do discuss that, almost on the, if we are going to be changing things, I'd like to see almost like an example of where this is used in the municipal world, just because like I don't do municipalities every single day. But I think just an example of it, I think would help just steer the conversation a bit. Just so see why it's a headache on your end of it as a CEO, and just kind of just to help relate, especially if it is outdated. I have no problem updating it, but it is something I do tread lightly on. But no, I think a lot of the suggestions made sense. And then the only other thing I was somewhat concerned with, and you addressed it as well, Net, was on AF09 was just for the direct, I believe it's for direct payments and stuff. So it's just one I've always really tread carefully on that in my own practices and business as well. So still deal a lot with the old fashioned way of check and multiple signers, and that's the thing. So I share the same concern. I was happy that you did raise that as well.
And everybody read the email from the county about the cyber attack? And that was exactly what you were just talking about, Brent, the direct payment. And without the diligence of one of our staff members, we would have been out $130,000. And that's
Well-
scary.
Well, you saw that, I believe it was in Ottawa last year. I think it was a $200,000 payment e-transfer. And the thing is that's money you're never going to get back. And that's why I agree. I like the recommendations of the cyber insurance. You don't want to get held hostage by a foreign country, especially a small municipality like ours. But no, it makes a lot of sense. And yeah, no, it's well taken.
The other thing I did want to touch on very quickly, and that you talked about sort of the new generation coming into municipal staff, and I couldn't agree with you more. To me, this is no different than our new doctors coming into a practice. They are not doing paper files. They want EMR, right? They want electronic medical records. That's the way they were trained. That's the way they operate. And Merv and I both sit on our, for lack of a better term, our Bonnechere Valley Health Committee. And certainly we've seen that with trying to recruit. So very, very interesting. It's basically the same thing. New generation is not coming in to do a timesheet at the end of the day.
Yep.
All right. Take us to your next page.
Okay.
I'm very cognizant of the time, guys. We may have to move EGC to 4 o'clock.
Okay, so the next one is asset management. So this one's fairly quick. And so again, it was sort of touched on in the first administration section where we've applied for the funding. We do hope to undertake this review in 2021 and update our asset management plan, but also update our policies, long-term financing and stuff like that. So we are working towards that for sure. So, and again, the next one talks about a vehicles and equipment replacement policy. So there is a long range capital forecast. So these are all things. So we're collecting data right now. So our service delivery review was part of it. We're doing a master servicing plan through water and sewer next year. One, because it's required by regulation, but also to assist us. We're going to update this asset management plan. Same thing. It's part of it's required. Part of it is so we're just going to collect the data and then we're going to take it to the next step. And we're going to say, okay, so we've got the data. Here's how we implement it. Here's the policies that go with that data so that we're looking at it. And it's not that we are looking at the asset management plan every year to see what needs to be done, stuff like that. So I'm not saying that we're not using it now, but we're gonna take it one step further and be able to have fulsome discussions in budget of, okay, so here's what the recommendation is for us to do. Here's the policy, and here's what happens if we don't do it. So things like that. And the township buildings and properties. So we did just have, our insurance company did just come out and walked our properties. I have a bunch of papers with some comments on them of things that need to be changed and corrected. We did anything that had to be done, labeled as sort of urgent. We did those already, and then COVID happened. So we still have a few things that we want to continue to look at and do. Again, asset management, our facilities are not in our plan currently, but they will be added to it. So that's going to give them a condition assessment. So that's definitely something that we're going to be looking at. And again, when I talk about applying it to policies, that's where I'm talking about. We're also looking at our maintenance costs. We're also looking at, at what point does it become, it makes more sense to start replacing or to start upgrading the building than to continue to pay, for heat and hydro or whatever else the issues are. So that's in the works. It's a work in progress. Again, the fire master plan. So there's a whole nother plan that, is a discussion to have with the fire chief to see where we're at with that, where we're going to go from that. So, and there are neighboring townships who have either done fire master plans or are going to do them. And I know it's been a bit of a hot topic in our neighboring municipalities. So it's one of those things that's sometimes supported, sometimes not supported. So, just wanting to work with the fire chief and see where we fall and what we want to do for that. So, that's that one. The next one, again, the building assessment report. We understand that we've got some facilities that are in a condition that, council's got to make some tough calls about whether, are we investing any money here? What makes the most sense? So, and I realize that some of the big ticket items about selling certain property and consolidating it and whatever, council's not supporting that for various reasons. And that's why, you look at that stuff, it's a part of the puzzle, but there's also, there's also services to the community, and there's reasons why things might benefit the community. So savings, monies, investment, all of that is a part to it, but levels of service, the community needs, those are all parts of the equation that we'll talk about for sure at council. Same with EGC, we could definitely look at that some more, because we really don't have an idea of sort of the condition. I mean, and when I say we don't have an idea, of course, the manager of the plant and maybe even the EGC board has an idea of what the condition is and what the future investment is, but we don't really, I haven't seen any documents that sort of outline that. So we don't have any long-term, long-range planning, and our contract is coming up. So it's something to look at to make sure that we're planning appropriately for the future. Yes, so the last part sort of talks about bylaw and fire code and property standard concerns. Absolutely all municipalities have this. We do need to discuss coordinating it between the fire chief and the CBO, and sort of have a discussion about, how strongly do we want to enforce these things? Yes, we want to have investment. Yes, we want our community to look its best. COVID makes it a really tough time to start, forcing people to spend money on their buildings without a funded CIP, which again, we continue to push the province to, give us some money to up the economic development side of things, and help businesses improve in this scary and tough time. But that's tough for the province too. There's a lot going on, so it might not be the best time to be enforcing this. And then, by the time we get through this, we'll probably just be going into an election. Is that the thing that takes priority that year, or is it something else? So it may be that this BL01 maybe hit the pause key, and look at it again in 2023. It also has to involve our CBO. Our CBO is very busy right now working for 2 townships. But we're hoping that in the future that won't be the case. So that'll free up some time there to do this enforcement. So there's a few unknowns, but but I think it can happen. So I don't know. Do you want me to go? The next one is not too long either. Do you want me to keep going, or do you want me to pause again after this one?
Can we just pause here for a minute?
Yep, absolutely.
Screen, because I'm going to lose internet. Thank you. I just wanted to touch on 2 things. Number one, for those of you that weren't around in 2014 when we did our asset management plan, the things that Annette has told you that weren't included at that time didn't need to be included.
That's right.
It was a very high level AMP. Now provinces is saying, look, we want to know about everything. We want to know about all of your assets, where you're at in your sort of long-term financial plan, about replacing assets. They want it all now. And so I've got to tell you, in 2014, I thought, what a waste of bloody money doing this. And now I think it's one of the best tools we could have. It's no different than anything in your house. You think, wow, my dryer is 15 years old. I better start thinking about replacement costs for a dryer. And so that's how I've equated it to our own, or even our vehicles. So I just want to touch on vehicles and buildings did not have to be included in 2014. Upgrading our cartograph system will certainly make this process a heck of a lot easier. So stay tuned for that. The other thing I wanted to touch on was the Public Works Garage and the Fire Hall in Foymount. And I think that Jason and Dave could certainly speak more intimately to this, but I think that all 5 of us understand the topography of where we are in Bonnechere Valley does not allow us to move a fire, 2 fire apparatus and a plow truck over, as Merv very astutely pointed out, the most populated, the highest point of population highest
In Ontario.
in Ontario. Thank you. I had trouble getting that out. So when you're talking about the topography of Bonnechere Valley, I don't see how we move either entity, either faculty out of there. I don't know what we're going to do about that building. Certainly we can take recommendations from both Public Works and Fire, but I did have a woman phone me and let me know that if we move the fire hall out of Foymount, her insurance was going to triple, which is, we just can't do that to our residents. You know, that hall services, you know, that end of the township. Obviously, we had a major structure fire on Saturday night. Both halls went. You know, thank God that we did have them up there because they were able to deploy so quickly. So I just think I'm overly concerned, I think, about some of the rumors that are out in the public when we haven't even formulated a plan. But I just don't know how you take a plow truck out of a place that had, I don't know, 3 inches of snow and we had none. So, you know, all things to consider. Tim, did you have your hand up before Jack? Okay, Tim, please.
And this might be a question for the chief. I don't know if anybody here can answer it, but when we do mutual aid, has BLR ever requested us from that point of the facility because it's so close? That was a question because we're so close to BLR up on top of the hill. You know, for a lot of residents up there, I'm just wondering if we've ever had to respond because of where, you know, it's right on the boundary with BLR, and of course, you know, the topography throughout that land is pretty gnarly. So I just didn't know if it was an asset, you know, that was utilized in that way as well.
Apparently, Tim is going back to Fast Times to Ridgemont High verbiage, gnarly.
Well, I don't know what other way to say it up there. I truck it all the time, and she ain't groovy. I'll tell you that right now. So,
okay, I think that is a good question for the chief. I don't know, to be honest with you. His pager goes off and he runs out of here like our house is on fire. So definitely a question for him. But very interesting, yes, because obviously we do a lot of mutual aid and shared service calls with North Algona Wilberforce. So great question, Tim. Yes.
No, and if it's offsetting, you know, the price of the building and having it up there, you know, like that's another thing, you know, we kind of have to look at.
Okay, so for mutual aid, that is a free service.
Okay.
So the way mutual aid works is that all of your township apparatus must be deployed, and then you can call on another department. So I'll use O'Grady's as the example. Every one of our apparatus from both halls was at that structure fire for obvious reasons. Calling in Douglas, and I believe North Algona as well, that's not a paid service.
Okay.
But what I think what you're asking is, have we ever been deployed to BLR because we were closest hall, and then that's a paid service, and that I don't know.
Okay.
Really a great question. I just wanted to make sure people in the YouTube land understood what mutual aid means, because it's a very important service in the county of Renfrew. Yes, Jack, go ahead.
Yeah, I just think going back to this that was written in the paper about these us taking services away from Foymount and everything, people have to understand, and that this was done in the proposal and we never screened it. We never looked at it. It was presented and we had no input. So for people to go start making assumptions and drawing conclusions, we never blessed this report. It was a report that came to us with their recommendations. And we were basically virgin eyes on it basically at the same time as everybody else, right? When it was presented. And I think that's something that the general public doesn't quite understand. And because if we would have had input, that's something that would never, we would have been voiced very strongly against that to start with. So I just think that has to be reassured or restated again so the public understands that.
Dead on. I mean, that was our first blush at it. And it was, I mean, there are going to be things that we adopt from the recommendations right away. There are going to be some things that are a few years out, and there are going to be things that we firmly reject because we in fact know our area better than anybody, right? So I think we appreciate everything that Wayfinders did. I think they did a very good job for us. But I think that yes, there were hurt feelings. There were rumors and concerns about the big three, which were the Fire and Public Works, EGC, and the library. And, you know, not even having had a discussion with our librarian, it was so sad that so many feelings were hurt and so many people were worried. You know, I heard the next day that Jack was losing his job as manager of EGC. So I like the rumor mill in a vortex of us putting out correct statements. The general public, I think, just took off and said these were the things that we were doing, and we knew that we weren't. So, Brent, did you have your hand up? Brent,
yeah, I just had two points. One was just I think it's important for us to have discussions, and it doesn't mean we have to solve them all in one day. But I think it's important for us to discuss things at the table, and if we have to table them to the next, but I think that's important. And then secondly, for the 40 mount garage and the fire station, what's the timeline in that we're kind of working with it? Like, because I know the chief and Jason are going to be communicating to figure out their basic needs, the simplicity of it, and just what they actually require. What's kind of the timeline that you're hoping to work with, just so we can kind of continue to have a discussion on this and really figure out something, because it's not like it's going to get better.
Yes, so they're both Jason, both the Public Works Superintendent and the Fire Chief are going to be presenting on the organizational review at the next meeting. So the first meeting in December is usually the meeting that they attend. So as part of their report, they'll be reporting on it. So, you know, my hope is that they have some discussion between the two of them about it before then. And in fact, that definitely will be something that comes up at our leadership team meeting, so that, you know, if they want to have discussion there, that's great. Let's have the discussion there, and then move forward, and both of them can sort of add what they want to speak to council about at their report in the December meeting. So I do want to sort of talk about their opinions at the leadership team meeting and receive their reports and recommendations to council for the first meeting in December, which is December 1st. So I think so it's pretty, it'll be pretty tight timeline, but between the leadership team discussion and when they have to get their reports in fact, I think they have to get their reports in the Wednesday before. So, but they will be able to expand on it at the December 1st meeting, I'm sure. Yes, because they'll have to have their reports in on I guess the same day as I think our next meeting is on the 25th in the morning, and I think they have to get their reports in on the 25th. So yeah.
That gives them lots of time. It's fine.
Yeah.
I just want to speak to what you just asked though, Brent. One of the considerations for the fire hall was the challenge that if a new pumper truck had to be purchased, it would not fit in that building. There are no pumper trucks now that would fit in the building. However, that is not our frontline pumper. And it doesn't have to be replaced, I believe, even in our asset management plan until, I hate to throw out a date because I'll be crucified if it's wrong. I think it's 2024, I'm not sure. And at this time, both Public Works and the fire department are making that facility work for them. But even though that the pumper truck is in our asset management plan, because it's not our frontline pumper, it doesn't have to be taken off the road at the 25-year mark. So that's what the government says, 25 years, that's it. And the other rumor going around that apparently we were buying the fire department a $500,000 truck. I love that one. That was one of my favorites because the building relied on this new pumper truck. Anyway, so just to give you a little bit more insight, Brett.
Yeah, one of the things that was rolling back in my head was just on the refurbishment of it, but also what's the cost of the new build on like the base requirements. So that's really why it was more STEM conversation, because this is something that we want to address, and I'd rather address in sometime next year to at least start rolling the ball on something.
Right.
Government doesn't have to always move slow, but no, that's just my opinion, my thoughts. And then the only other thing was on AM02 for the list of things for the improvements by the insurance company. Is that for all their assets and that, is that list able to be provided to council? Or is that are we able to like see what the deficiencies actually were in their assets?
Yeah, I mean, there's no reason why. It's a fairly big package, and some of them are very, like one could be, in the municipal building here, we had a fire extinguisher. However, the fire extinguisher was, I don't know, not hung on the wall appropriately or not in the right area. Like some of them were really, like it's nothing really for council to be even concerned about. It's just facility management. So some of the stuff is, I'm trying to remember now. It's been a while since I've been through them, but like some of it is really nothing.
And it's not really like wasn't more pertaining to council. It's more just an information thing. Just I always like the more information we have, especially since we have this. Yeah. That's all.
Yeah, like there was a box in front of our furnace. You can't keep a box in front of your furnace. Like some of them are really, really, really nothing, and we took care of them right away. They're done. That's what when I said like they were urgent things, but like they were urgent, but they weren't,
simple and cheap.
Yes, they really were not. But yeah, I mean, for sure, I can share that with you. It's a big file, but it's they're not. I mean, it doesn't really go into the different conditions of the building. That'll be done in the asset management plan, but it just kind of gives. It's just at least you had somebody walking through them and inspecting them, and if they didn't point out something that was, oh my gosh, you can't. If it was just little things like that, like a box in front of the furnace or whatever, then. If that's the only thing that you came up with when you walk through our building, then I'm going to go, okay, well, maybe the condition's not great, but the building itself is, that's all our insurance came up with.
Well, and I love the general population can't see this, but our deputy CAO, apparently that was other duties as assigned. She moved the box while her insurance company was there. Thank you, Sandra.
Yes.
And one for the team.
Yeah, he was here. She moved it right away and he wrote us up anyway. She was like, really? I already moved it. He was here. We saw me do it.
Too funny. Go ahead, Merv.
Just want to just talk a little bit about the asset management plan. When the government came out indicating that municipalities had to do an asset management plan, fortunately, we dove into it full body. Neighboring municipalities passed it off and said, oh, it'll blow away. And certainly I was concerned at the price as the cost as it went on, but I think a lot of our grants were tied right into that asset management plan because we had done a detailed asset management plan, although it cost a few bucks. We jumped on the bandwagon and did it.
In fact, Merv, to your point, you couldn't even apply for provincial grants if the province didn't have your AMP on the shelf. Mm-hmm. And, we talk about the FIRs as well. I can't stand the FIRs. They're always 18 months behind, but they do also speak to our partnership fund and other grants. So I agree, Merv. You know, I think we were all grumbling, but we were early adopters as we normally are in Bonnechere Valley. And I think it's worked out very well considering the amount of raining money that, I mean, the province goes like this. We're very lucky.
Yeah, it rained.
And every time we've been very, very, very successful. All right, Annette, you want to take us over to council if that's all on. Brent, did you have a third one?
Nope, no,
Sorry,
no,
I just
nothing.
didn't want to blow by you.
Okay. And I know we have a couple other items on the agenda. So if at any point council's like, you know what, put this, I'll it's not like I won't be at the next meeting. So
All right, so Annette, just being cognizant of time, why don't we do council?
okay.
And you can do the rest of them at our next meeting. If
Okay.
that's with council.
It's just because I know we have a couple other things.
I know.
I don't want to take up all the time on this.
Okay, so let's do council and then we move on and we'll do your risk management and the other one at our next meeting.
Okay.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Okay. So council's pretty short. So we'll get through that in no time. And then the last three, the human resources, risk management, and long range planning are not, they're not crazy, but we can certainly look at them again next week. Or not next week, next meeting. So the two for council, so one was an annual training and refresher for council, which is always a good idea. I know Cunningham Swan does their annual sort of seminar here in Eganville, and they're doing it electronically on actually this Thursday. So hopefully council is able to attend that. I don't have the login details yet, but hopefully you all got the newsletter from Cunningham Swan. And as well, I did recently attend a session with Peter Kenyon and George Cuff that was absolutely incredible as far as looking at COVID as an opportunity as opposed to a challenge, if you can believe that. But it was quite an inspiring portion. And then George B. Cuff, if you don't know him, he writes a lot for Municipal World, and he has quite a few books for council and does sessions all the time. But he was wonderful in his advice to staff and specifically to council in these times. So I did ask if I could get a copy of that and pay to have the rest of us sort of attend it, because I think it was $50 for one person. And I think I can get up to 7 people for $250. So they're working on, there is a recording made. They're working on getting a copy of that for me. And if that does come through, I will pass it on to council. And I really would appreciate it. It was an incredible session. Absolutely. So yes, I do agree. It's good to always be taking refreshers. I need them too, just to, you get doing the daily grind. And sometimes it's nice to either be motivated by a session or just to be reminded of the duties, the responsibility, the transparency, here's all the things that we want to do and we try to do so well on a daily basis. But sometimes we get caught up in the different issues that are happening. So yeah, I do fully support that. And whether it's Cunningham Swan, and I realize I messed the G there, sorry about that. And or a different seminar or workshop, stuff like that. The next part is the e-learning courses, which is kind of a similar sort of request there, which can be added to the annual training cycle. So I think I sent out one earlier. AMO was doing an update on the planning. That changes all the time. Things like that. So I will continue to keep council informed with different training opportunities that are there. And I mean, I know council does everything to the best of their abilities, but it's good to just keep up with the ever-changing legislation and regulations from the province and the rules, and just to stay sharp on what we're doing as a responsible level of government. So that's that for that, and we'll leave human resources, risk management, and long range planning until next council meeting. And if that's all right, because I know we have a couple of other things on the go, and I'm sure the people watching online are going, when are they getting to those? I didn't sign in for this.
So, yeah, I just want council to be aware that this was a recommendation that was given to the county during our organizational review there as well. You know, refreshers never hurt. You know, the rule of we have one employee, the CAO, that you not become a pothole counselor. Update on provincial legislation makes my head spin. I pride myself in trying to keep up, but sometimes it's very difficult. But were there any questions for Annette on those two items for council? I think we came out unscathed, to be honest with you. All right, nothing on count. Okay, that's great. All right, Annette, let's move on to the Algonquin land settlement.
Okay. So, sorry, I will. So you want me to share my screen on that one too, eh?
I think Tim requested that.
Yeah. So,
Just for the maps, I think.
okay, now it is under correspondence, and I did have a couple of other issues under my report. So one being the draft trailer bylaw discussion, but the Algonquin land claim was also under my report. So I will share.
Okay, do you want to do the Algonquin land claim under correspondence then?
Yeah, and it's under my report too, so it's totally fine. Either way.
Let's do it now.
Okay, so I've got the maps ready to go. So you want me to share my screen again?
That would be helpful.
Or do you want to talk about it first? Share for screen first? Okay.
I think it'll be more in context if you share your screen.
Okay.
Now, my one question was going to be, are we going over all of these parcels of land or just the one that we're very concerned about?
So I do have them all, if people
Okay.
want to look at them. I mean, I think that most of them are from 2013. There's the one, I'll go to the one that was added, which is 58. Oh, of course, that'll be the one map.
Okay, before you get there, I just want council to know that the one on Constant Lake that's landlocked, I asked the negotiators, were the Algonquins made aware that there would be no emergency services on that lot of land? And they are, in fact, they know that, you know, fire, police, and ambulance cannot get out there. So I think that was the only other one that was sort of in contention that I thought Annette should just, you know, just make them aware in writing, because our concerns have to be in by December 10th. But
That's right.
what's that?
I said that's correct. And there are quite a few of the property parcels that are either accessed by a county forestry road or accessed by a private road, which that particular piece of property may not actually have rights to use that private road. So I think this is our opportunity to, you know, make sure that the province is aware of what any access issues are, as well as some of the ratepayers have called and spoken to me about certain topography issues where they don't think that, you know, maybe the particular lot is appropriate for the proposed use, which is an ongoing changing thing. But yeah, I think that the province has reached out for consultation to say, hey, you have any concerns about this? And it's our opportunity, certainly, not just to discuss the parcel of land that got added in 2020, but sort of to just take a quick review of what's going on in 2013. And if there's concerns, maybe we share them the first time around, but we, you know, certainly it's not going to hurt to share them a second time around, right?
Right. But this particular parcel is very problematic for several different reasons. Number one, you're driving through the right of way for this particular road is actually through somebody's farm.
Yeah.
And it is one lane, and it's not, as Tim puts it, it's sort of a gnarly road to get in. So I'm not sure how we accommodate this on such a weird road.
Mm-hmm. And I don't think we have to. I think we just have to make sure the province knows that this is a parcel that they've selected to transfer, just like if you were selling your property to somebody else. But I mean, basically, if that buyer came in and was consulting with us to say, you know, are there any issues with this property you think that I should know about? Because, you know, so-and-so's offered to sell it to me for whatever. And, you know, I realize it's not a sale, it's a transfer, but it's a similar process. You know, I think it's up to us to just kind of let them know that here's some concerns we have and yeah.
Agreed. So did anybody want to speak to any of the parcels, but specifically the one that was added? Just shout it out, guys, while we've got the map up.
Yeah. Now, one question and it might pertain back to us. So with that last parcel, that's on Lake Clear. Now, with the Ontario law.
It's on Gearman Road.
Oh, no, I'm looking over at 58B.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay.
But it's still it's on the water. It's all butting the water, right? So if that is transferred into in the future, it goes back with our at capacity with not ours, but with the at capacity rules and regulations, would they apply to these lots and stuff?
Yes. So when the property is transferred from the province, so right now these properties are all owned by the Crown, but when they are transferred from the province to the Algonquins, then what will happen is they're just like any other property owner. So they can be taxed, property tax. They can be developed where that is permitted according to our bylaws, so our zoning bylaws. So all of these properties have to meet all of the same things as the rest of the property owners on that lake. So I don't know what's in parcel 58B. It could just be vacant lots for now. And I don't know what the proposed use is of those lots. It could be just recreation. But yeah, whatever the rest of the lots around there that are zoned the same, that it's going to be treated exactly the same once transferred, which will be quite a few years from now. But yeah.
And the reason I'm asking is I'm sure one of us are going to get asked that question, being in the location where it is, right? And that's because of you know, and it's something, you know, that the public probably wouldn't know, and there'll definitely be concerns coming our way.
Yeah.
My looking at the maps too, Annette, if we go, what was it on number 55, I believe?
Yep.
So parcel 55. Which is definitely right around the Golden Lake Reserve. My question is, I've logged in a lot of that area, and that was on the Renfrew County Forest is what that was part of. So does the county know that I wonder if we should talk to Lacey Rose, our little forester out there, about that, because will they be, I'm not going to say lose it to it, or are they aware at the county of that being part of the parcel? Because like I say, I do know that runs under the Renfrew County Forest Tract.
I'm sure the county is aware, and yeah, Jennifer
take
could
this one
speak
if
to
you
that
want.
one. Yeah,
Yes,
perfect.
the county is well aware. Absolutely. And we in fact had a delegation with the chief negotiator at our last county council meeting, which is why this was all delineated down to the local municipalities. But yes, the county also will be putting in comments, questions, concerns as well, Tim. But you're absolutely correct. And actually, if you read, I'm pointing at it, you guys can't even see me, proposed settlement lands, county forest. Yes, that was made very clear to us. But thanks for that. I think every municipality was sort of getting their own bundles, and we left the county to deal with the county.
No, yes, no, and like I said, I knew it was in ours there. I just didn't see if it was if they had known that. But yeah, I see county. I didn't see anywhere where it said the county of Renfrew on my legends on my map. I don't see it there, and that's why it was kind of a question. So
Yeah, All of this was sent to us from the county of Renfrew.
Okay. No, it's just like, that was some of my concerns, because I do know that the forest is only partially managed at this point in time. And it'll be coming up again probably in the future. And I didn't know if that had transferred it, and that could be a question that will be asked on my end as well. I assume then if it goes to the Algonquins, it'll be a deal with the Algonquins for the management, then it will not be Zurich County.
Yes, it will be.
Okay.
All right, is there anything further on the land claim? And again, as Annette pointed out, in our delegation, they've pushed a whole bunch of stuff out to 2023. As long as I've been sitting in this chair and at the County of Renfrew, I feel like every few years it gets pushed out a little more. I have no doubt that all of the land claims across Canada and Ontario are, I'm sure that they're all very frustrated with the amount of time that this is taking. So, but I'm grateful, especially with the addition of this particular parcel, that we're being able to say, whoa, 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 that's not an ideal parcel of land. So thanks, Annette. You're going to make that happen.
Yes, I will. I will certainly, be preparing our consultation comments to the province before the December 10th, and I can send them around to council to have a look at them before we submit them. And I would ask the public could do the same, and if they wanted to send something through yourselves or through me to the township that I don't know every section and every piece of land. There might be a concern that I'm unaware of, but I think everybody's trying to be as open and transparent as possible and get any concerns or information to the province. So that's what we'll do.
I was so thankful to get a phone call from one of the residents that I asked her to phone you and Dana, because I had a different, I don't know why, I guess it is, we don't travel these roads all the time. And so for some reason in my head, I had a different road. And I thought, oh, that's not too bad. And then when she phoned, I thought, holy Hannah, I made a mistake. Now I know what road we're on. And no, it's not ideal and could be somewhat problematic. So yeah, I was so thankful. And again, if any of our residents want to submit emails, please send them along to Annette, and because we want to make sure that we include all comments and concerns. Merv, I saw your hand up.
Yeah. Well, one of the concerns that I picked up here, and it has nothing to do with really our municipality, but it's that the part that says the three negotiating committees, Canada, Ontario, and the Algonquins have agreed on the following. Arrangements will be negotiated between the Algonquins of Canada and those who have existing legal interest on the Crown lands and that are proposed for transfer. We've been talking about that 15 years ago. How does the poor little hunt camp owner negotiate something like that when Ontario and Canada can't negotiate the thing?
Your guess is as good as mine.
A lively discussion at least 15 years ago, and it's still not solved.
Yeah,
that's the other thing, that this has been going on for so long. And there are so many things to work out, right? The devil's in the details.
Yeah.
All right, did anybody else have anything else on the land claim? There is one piece of land actually by Golden Lake that actually cleans up an old sort of severed, this poor property is in Bonnechere Valley, but it's kind of off on its own. So it does clean that up, which I thought was good. We learned about that in 2013. Yes, Jack, go ahead.
Yeah, I think it's quite important, and that you send your comments around. And I'd also like to see any comments from the ratepayers that are sent into you, so that we can, council can be abreast of where they are at and what they're thinking about, so that we can, be better prepared if we get contacted.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I will let you know that in the Lake Clear update, there was a blast very recently, just in the last week or so, with all of the maps, with the proposed. So I mean, that sort of satisfies Lake Clear. They know where to send their comments, but I would absolutely say, like, I don't think Constant Lake has an association. Our Golden Lake property owners, obviously, they were shared with 4 different municipalities, including the Algonquins of Pikwakanagan. But I think that they all deserve an opportunity. So I was very, very grateful to Philip Lancaster to send that information out so that their mailing list is all aware. So, all right then. Good discussion, guys. It is 3:45. Does anybody need a 5-minute break?
Please.
Please? All right. But literally 5 minutes, okay, guys? Because we've got to get through these bylaws and we still need to have our EGC meeting and we still have a council meeting. So, all right, 5 minutes. It's 3:45. Everybody back at 3:50. All right, so I've got Jack, I got Tim, I got Brent. Just waiting for Annette and Merv.
Test the audio now.
What's that?
I said I'll test my audio now because sometimes when I mute it, it goes off on me. Everything good?
It's been a bit crackly a couple of times that you've spoken, Tim.
Okay.
Sounds good on my end there, Tim.
Okay, thanks, Brent. No,
Yeah,
I've seen it lag before too on everybody. It's technology, eh?
Yeah, but my sometimes on my screen, you guys are frozen, but it's still, as long as my talking's good, then it's fine. Sometimes my video goes in and out sometimes. Ian, I probably have the best internet of everyone here.
Well, absolutely, you're the closest to the building, eh?
Yeah.
So
I'm not too bad. I can't complain because it not so much today, but up until this point, while we were doing our Zoom meetings, both of my kids are doing at-home learning, and we've got most of the time Trina watching YouTube, and I'm on Zoom, and both kids are on Zoom. So 3 Zoom meetings and a YouTube channel going at the same time. So I can't really complain.
yeah, my internet would crash if we tried that.
Here comes Merv.
All right. So we've got everybody back.
There we go.
Excellent. All right.
Piece of kielbasa, 2 zucchini cookies, and a little milk. We're good for the rest of the afternoon.
Ooh, I would love a zucchini cookie.
They don't last long around here.
Good with Bonnechere Valley.
Like zucchini bread, Herb? I like zucchini bread.
So do I.
No, this is a cookie with zucchini, and the recipe calls for some raisins in it. But I also add walnuts.
Ooh, fancy.
Crunchy. But anyway.
All right, Annette, take us into
Okay.
bite.
So the next part of my report, so I did, and Sandra reminded me I already did the last meeting. So we only had the last 2 to cover, the long range planning and the other one. So that should be good for the next meeting. But the next part in my report is bylaw. So basically, the report here is the property on Constant Lake was working on zoning compliance. So most of the concerns were addressed this fall with trailers being removed and buildings being torn down. So I think that's going very well. CBO has been assisting with some parking issues, and our part-time animal control officer remains busy at the pound. So that's all going very well. And we're still reviewing some pound agreements and some animal control services. I had another request for one today from a neighboring municipality. So still working on getting those all updated to this level, the level that we want to be able to provide for ourselves and others. And then the second part is the trailers. So attached to my report was a draft bylaw for the committee's review to clarify wording around the current zoning bylaw, as well as to add some additional provisions, which are recommended under the official plan, that some provisions should be put in place for trailers for the local municipalities. So we still have to proceed with a whole comprehensive zoning bylaw. That still has to happen, but the official plan won't be approved by county council likely until next summer or next fall. So that's a question for whether or not council wants to take on a comprehensive review in 2022, or if they want to wait till 2023. So we'll have that discussion later when the official plan has been approved. But in the meantime, we can amend our zoning bylaw to sort of clean up some of the wording and deal with the trailers, which has been an ongoing issue. So there is a draft bylaw. So some of the things that we discussed the last time when reviewing this issue was a licensing and a permit option. And the direction from committee at that time was no, that wasn't something that the township wanted to get involved with, but did want to sort of clarify, how many trailers, whether or not we have setbacks, those sorts of things. So that's really what is in the zoning bylaw amendment, and it would still have to go through the whole public meeting process and come back to council and all of that. So even if this draft is supported by committee today, it still would be months before it took effect. But it would basically change some of the provisions for zoning, such as limited service residential, exception 1, exception 2, rural residential, rural and residential 4 zones. So it's still the other zones, such as the residential zone here in the village of Eganville. It would not change that because you can't have an RV or a trailer there now. So we wouldn't be expanding that. What would we be doing is just clarifying for some of the other properties that currently seem to be having trailers and recreational vehicles being used for seasonal accommodation. And does council want to allow that? And what provisions do they want to put in place to allow that? So the draft bylaw is there for consideration, and how many. I know more than 4 requires you to be rezoned to highway commercial, or not highway commercial. Yes, highway, not highway commercial, tourist commercial.
Tourist, yep.
You have a trailer park, so it would be less than that. But what the right number is, whether we do want setbacks or not, and some of the sort of water and septic provisions around there are included in those provisions. So yeah, just looking for direction, discussion, so that we can prepare the final draft bylaw to go through the planning process and the public meetings and the rest of it.
Yeah, there was a lot of information in this bylaw. This might take 2 meetings to get through.
Okay.
We'll start the discussion now. Yes, Merv, go ahead.
That Lake Clear issue, I would like to wait until July or August and council and Mark get into a van and go on tour. I mean, we got one party saying the sky is falling, the other party saying nothing wrong. I think we just got to go and have a look at it ourselves. Make up my mind, is there a real problem?
Well,
The other thing I noticed in the proposed bylaw, it says 1 on a lot, but what is a lot? I've got 80 acres here. Is that 1 lot? I can only have 1 trailer? We're going to have to define a lot. I mean, if it's a 50 by 150 foot lot, yeah, 1. But what is a lot? And what I understand, there's some people around the lake that have 100 acres. Can they only put 1 trailer on it? I don't know. But I would like to, for my own peace of mind, get out and have a look at it. It's the old story. There are 3 sides to everybody's story. Yours, mine, and the truth. And we got to find out what the truth is and what the middle of the road is before I would be in favor of doing anything like a bylaw to govern that.
And I think, Merv, to your point, we did get a piece of correspondence that I'm going to ask Annette to include in a package, maybe for next meeting, where the author purports that there are 7 properties with more than 25 RVs on them. How is that substantiated? We've never heard that before. And
Nope.
I think that, as you say, we need to make the best decision we can. And maybe it's with our own eyes that we come to an agreement about how many per property or how many per acre, and certainly setbacks, etc. But I think that this is a big conversation, and that email greatly concerned me. I'm not sure where those numbers came from.
I think we got to have in peak tourist season, July and August, when most of them would be there.
Yeah, the only thing I would say is I'm not concerned about what's there or what's not there. I'm concerned about what council wants to permit. So that's really my, what you were saying, Merv, about how big is a lot. Well, a lot is a legal lot. So yes, you're right. If your 1 lot is 80 acres, it's 1. So maybe we don't want to have 1 per lot. Maybe there's a different provision that we want to put in place, which, you know what I mean? Saying you can have 1 per lot unless you have, 2 hectares or 5 acres. Then you're permitted to have, 4 per lot. You can't go over the 4, because over the 4 is like I just said, a tourist commercial. So if that's something council, I'm just trying to establish where council wants to be, because then at least if we establish where we want to be, then that's where we are. And regardless of where, what's happening out there, we don't even really have it established as to what, whether they're prohibited completely or whether they're allowed completely or where they are. So I just want to set some parameters because yeah, Mark can tour around and see what's there and what's not there. But at the end of the day, I'm not sure where that gets us, because I'm not saying it's a problem or not a problem, except that our bylaw is a little unclear, and some people think they should be prohibited and some people think that, you know, they should be allowed wherever. So wherever council wants to land, I think then we can move forward, have the public meeting, see where if the public, you know, has serious concerns about it, and then go from there. But you know, I understand it may not get done in this meeting. It may have to come back 1 or 2 or 3 times, but just keeping the discussion going so at some point we can get where we want to be is sort of the direction I'm looking for.
Well, much like our operational review, this was sort of a first blush of this bylaw, and I don't necessarily want to put councillors on the spot when this is just a discussion. That's what we're sort of batting it out here, and you know, and I think that we're going to have sober second thoughts, listen to each other. You know, I don't think any one of us has come in to this meeting reading that bylaw going, yep, we're going to pass it tonight. So, okay, I've got Jack, then Brent, then Tim.
Yeah, I'm just agree with Merv, like to have it just as plain as one trailer per lot. It's not your lot. Somebody might have 200 feet of frontage. Somebody might have 1.5 miles of frontage. You know what I mean? It's just, you can't have that as it being just like, this is the way it's going to be. I just think there's a lot more thought that has to go into this than what it seems pretty cut and dry when you read the bylaw. I don't know if it's as cut as dry as what that bylaw tends to make it, you know? So I really, I've read this bylaw a couple of times since Wednesday, and I'm not in any position to even really comment on it to any degree, except that you can't just arbitrarily say one trailer on one lot. That's not acceptable to me.
So Jack, you landed exactly where I landed. I read it twice and I thought, okay, it's great. It's great that Annette furnished us with this. I think it opens up the discussion. But again, I think that this is just opening statements, right? We haven't gotten into the weeds. We've all read it. And now I'm interested to hear where people are landing, but you landed and Merv landed where I landed. So Brent.
Oh, I was just going to comment on, I think when I first I've read the bylaw, I'm sure like most people, I've read it multiple times. But when I first read it, I really looked at it more discussion points on a lot of the, I guess, from your A, B, and C's. But really, like when I read the first subsection, which is just a recreational vehicle, I think, in my opinion, the definition actually makes sense. Just when you're actually looking at the A, especially, I would highlight the permanently attached, which is not permanently fixed to the ground portion of it. I think that's an important feature of it. Really, and it's like most things, the question really comes down to, it comes down to is, are we going to qualify as a structure? And if sense, then D doesn't really make much sense to me, having it like in the sense that we're treating it as an actual detached home, which it's not. It's no different, in my opinion, than some like I have a bunch of friends that have hippie vans rolling up onto my property. Like, are we going to start dictating where someone parks their vehicle? Or if I have my kids, we go camping all the time. I go to my brother's place. So is a bylaw officer going to come and dictate where I can set my tent? And it's kind of, there's no different. A tent, a vehicle, and a recreational vehicle are all the same thing. It's not a permanent structure. And I think that's really the purpose of a highlight. But what I'm so confused about is the interest since I moved the Bonnechere Valley. It's always been at the RVs on Lake Clear. I'm just so surprised that this organization is not focused on, if they're so concerned about the environment, of the redevelopment of cottages that are doubling in size or boathouses, or that's in my opinion, that would have more of an impact than these people that have RVs on large properties that aren't, in my opinion, impacting the environment. But and that's the thing, I don't think my position's really going to change on it. I'm not going to classify it as a structure. And end of the day, I really don't want to, well, I'm willing to keep discussing and going forward, but eventually we're going to have to bite the bullet, make a decision, and people are going to be upset on both sides. But at the end of the day, I think people should start worrying less about other people's private property and start working on their own. And I think that's what COVID is going to teach us.
Yeah, Brent, I think one of the problems or one of the challenges when this first came about was the actual verbiage in our zoning bylaw that sort of contradicted itself. And I think that that's probably the most important thing to clear up the language in our bylaw. So agreed, like I'm not sure about D, but I agree with you. Clearing up some of the other language is absolutely the most important thing. And people do need to know that more than 4, you're now a trailer park. So, you know, there are different rules. Okay, Tim, you're next.
So Brent, you took a lot of points that I was going to make, and I'm glad that you made a lot for me. What we have to really get back to, guys, is our definition of the RV. And if it's not a structure, we can't treat it as such, and we can't treat it by setbacks. One thing is, and I will only support the fact where we're minimally allowed to regulate the allowable on site. So if you're allowed to have 4 trailers provincially or within our within that type of a zone structure, I think that's where we should sit. We shouldn't try and restrict more, because really we're going to accomplish nothing because it's an RV. It's the same thing as Brent said. You know, we put restrictions on tents and so on and so forth. So if you do have a 100-acre lakefront property, and you have 4 RVs, and you don't have to zone it as a commercial RV park, well, we shouldn't restrict them any further than that. As long as they're complying with the other provisions, with the detached, you know, we have put that quite clearly into the bylaw, or have talked with our CBO, what defines, you know, structure and whether it's attached or whether it's not, if it can be removed in a day. I think we've already found those boundaries. The big thing is clearing up the terminology as what I will support. But as far as it goes for restricting one's use of private property, which really is, in my opinion, not harming anything, if they're containing their waste, if they're containing everything else, just because somebody is sleeping in a camper doesn't mean it's any more harmful to anything at the time, because we've already set up our recreational vehicle definition, right? You know, anyway, that's my big point, is do it what keeps us within the confines of that, what's allowable in the zone as it is right now, but not exceeding. So.
See, so Brent stole stuff out of your brain, but you just stole something out of my brain, which was going to be that we did get advice from our CBO about what is a structure and what is not. Thank you for that, Tim. Go ahead, Murph.
Yeah, well, when you're talking about what is a structure and what isn't, MPAC defines what is a structure, and I'm trying to remember the 5 points. Number 1, the wheels are off it. Number 2, the trailer hitch is off it. Number 3, it's hooked up to electricity and water and sewer. If all those, then it's a structure. But if it can just be hooked on tomorrow and trucked out of there, it's not a structure.
Also, if it has a deck, if it has a porch.
Well, yeah, as long as the deck isn't attached. Yeah, the deck. I remember there were 5 points when I talked to MPAC, and I'm sure I know the tires and the trailer hitch and hydro, and there were 5 things that make it a structure.
But then, Merv, those caveats, MPAC actually assesses, so they're not paying for empty land tax; they're actually paying on the structure.
But MPAC's position on this was the last time I was talking to him. A lot of these trailers are several or number of years old, and the value of them isn't worth going out and the trip to go out and assess the damn things.
Right.
What's the value of the trip going out because of the total value of them?
And one other point I want to caution on for as far as setbacks, we want to be careful into that too, because the wheels and the structure of a trailer, everything is exactly the same. They use the same wheels, the tires, the bearing grease, the whole shebang as the boat trailers do. So there's no more harm in parking that RV on the shoulder or beside the water or wherever it may be than backing your boat, I would say, into the water.
Into the lake.
Right into the lake, right up to the exhaust, whatever, right? And 90% of the people that are worried about the, you know, the impact of the RV being too close to the water are launching boats themselves. So it's something that where we should very much tread lightly as well, because you would know, Jen, the wheel bearings are the same in the trailers from one to the next, and it's the same lubricant that goes in them all. So as far as it goes for being, because we're talking about RVs, we're not talking about anything other than RVs here. They, like I say, they contain their own waste. They contain, you know, that all falls into a different fact. So it's basically the same as parking your car there.
Thank you for that. I'm a fan of setbacks, but I know personally that there are properties that they couldn't adhere to them even if they wanted to. And so, you know, as much as I think setbacks are important, I recognize again our strange geography, some of these roads that, I mean, you've got houses here and there's a mountain here and there's nowhere to go. So I understand all that. I'm kind of feeling like we're drilling down on something. Brent, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to make the point that I agree with setbacks when it comes to, say, a new development or when it's a structure that's like you're creating a new structure. We aren't defining a recreational vehicle as a structure. You can move it. It can be switched to different locations. And that's where, when you go back to the definition of it, it says fixed into the ground, permanently in place. So it means that it cannot move. There's something preventing it. It's no different than like if a deck is beside it, I have no issue with it as long as it's within the confines of the CBO's jurisdiction. But if it's actually adhered to it, then yes, that becomes a deck. But if it's just right beside it, then it's no different than my backyard. If I just built a stool for my slide, I really look at it no different than that. As long as it's not affixed to it. But I think really it comes down to what are we defining the recreational vehicle as? Is it permanent or is it not? And that's why I make the comparison of a hippie van or someone sleeping back a truck or a tent, because in my opinion, it's the exact same. But just to make the point, I do agree with setbacks when it comes to the CBO's jurisdiction, because that's in the building code. That's when you're building a new property, you're building a deck or shed, that it does come in, or installing a new septic. Well, they can't put their septic in their existing spot. It has to be put back to the new location. So these are all things, but when it comes to recreational vehicle, I don't believe that there should be a setback. No different than if my kid wants to set up a tent, then no, I don't want government come and tell me where I can set up a tent on my property or where I can set up or park my vehicles.
No, and Jen, there again, Brent and I are thinking a lot alike with this. You and I, a couple of years ago, now we've seen the value of setbacks and with the permanent structures. And I agree with, you should be back so far when you're building, but absolutely. But what we're defining here, like Brent said, is it's RVs, right? And that's the thing, it's movable. So if there's a rise in water, or if there is a situation, you hook onto it with your vehicle and you pull it to hang out of the way. And that's where it's still defined as an RV, right? It's a movable it's not structure, but a movable object. So basically it's a vehicle. So if there's an event of a panic situation where, we got to get it away from the water, it shouldn't be any more than a few minutes to hook onto that thing and move it. So as long as we're staying within defining the RV as an RV, I think that the CBO can look after the rest.
All right. So Annette, I feel like council is saying and I'm not sure if we're unanimous or not, and I'm not going to call for a vote. I think that this bylaw needs to be reworked. We need to review it again. But it sounds to me like your council is saying we want the 4 or less, and we also want the definition. But I'm not hearing anything else. So I'm wondering if we could rework this bylaw, send it out for our next meeting. Oh, yes, Brent, go ahead.
I was just gonna make, I'm not well, in my opinion, yes, I was gonna say just on, when you come to 3.37 D or 1, 2, 3, my actual notes just said replace that with E, which is recreational vehicle located on a vacant lot, or with a dwelling. In my opinion, it should almost be just classified under the same lot. I'm not sure under the comprehensive like zoning bylaw if it has to be separated, being with a dwelling or without. I just kind of, how I look at it is just a lot in general.
Yeah, because we don't allow in Bonnechere Valley, and this is something that came up, and I think personally when we're redoing our zoning bylaw, we're going to have to deal with this. So I'm going to use myself as an example. If my father wanted to live on our property, but not live in my house, we would have to sever a piece of land that he could then build on. Where in other municipalities, he could just build a little bungalow and that would be his private domicile. But then Dave and I would be able to do his grocery shopping or take him to doctor's appointments. And my dad's only 71, so it's not going to happen anytime soon. But I'm just saying that there's disparity, and we saw this in a presentation for our seniors housing strategy at the county, where that's a very important thing. So at this time, if we're not considering an RV a structure, yes, you can have your house and an RV, but you cannot have 2 houses. But I think when we talk about the zoning bylaw, the comprehensive zoning bylaw that we're going to have to do, that change to me is a must, right? If this is the way we're going to keep our seniors out of our long-term care homes, out of the hospitals, out of retirement homes, because we know the lack of beds available, that's the way to do it. If your parent or somebody you're taking care of doesn't want to live inside your house. So something I think we all need to keep in our heads. I've got Brent, then Merv, then Jack.
No, and I'm saying I agree, and that's where the province is going, is having, say, the granny suites, and it's a huge push on. I see it across in other municipalities, and that's a different issue or topic. All I was stating was that be there a lot or be there a dwelling on it. In my opinion, the number of RVs shouldn't really change because of our classification of it. That was really my only thought, was that does it matter if there's a dwelling, or does it matter, are we considering it just a lot as in general, or in saying that the same number of RVs can be on a lot even if there's a dwelling? This does make it, in my opinion, does make a difference. We're just classifying it as a lot, and you can have, say, 3 or 4 RVs on it, or it be it vacant or not. That's like, does it make a difference if there is a dwelling or vacant? In my opinion, it shouldn't really matter because we're classifying as a lot.
Okay, now I understand where you were going. I think I had Merv and then Jack, or Jack and then Merv. I can't remember who's first.
Merv first.
Okay, Merv, go ahead.
Didn't we recently allow an application to put a mobile home beside a house just for this reason, as a granny suite for X number of years? I did a couple months ago.
The one on Forest Shoot you're talking about,
Yeah.
Merv?
Yeah.
Yeah, we've already allowed that.
No, oh, sorry, Merv. I was speaking more in terms of long-term in Bonnechere Valley when we're going to do our zoning bylaw. I just wanted to bring it up because it was germane to what Brent was asking.
Yeah.
All right, Jack, go ahead.
Okay, just following up on what Brent was saying, if that's the case, then the wording has to be changed that the recreational vehicle may not be connected. It has to be connected to septic system. It shouldn't be just because there's a lot. It has to be under the same criteria as with on a vacant lot. You know what I'm saying, Annette? You can't have one or the other, right?
Right, I see what you're saying. Sorry, it just got very dark in my living room. I had to turn the light on.
Oh.
But that,
I get you.
okay, but that has to be reworded to reflect, doesn't
So,
a vacant lot or it's a lot with a dwelling on, it still has to have connected to proper wastewater and stuff like that. It can't just, because if you look at the way it's worded here, Annette, it says 3.37D1, the recreational vehicle may not be connected to a water supply or septic system.
that's right.
And that should not be there if it has a lot on it, right?
So, okay, so because what I was taking from this was that council wanted 4 or less instead of 1. Wanted to keep the definition, and I was removing C and E. But now, it seems like, Jack, you're talking about removing D.
No,
Well,
I think the
you have
removal
to
is,
reword D that it reflects the same as,
That's right.
So we're
Ah.
keeping E and removing D?
I would
Yeah.
say so.
Gotcha.
yes.
Yep.
That's
I just had it backwards. Gotcha.
Yeah,
That's a-
no, I think that,
following Brent's train of thought. That's
Yeah.
the way,
right,
And removing C. Yeah, the setbacks.
yeah.
which I hate, but yes.
I'll remove C and D. I'll change it to 4 or less, bring it back. You can review it in draft again. It's still got to go through the whole process. It's a work in progress.
It is a work in progress. All
Okay.
right, Brent, I'm gonna let Brent have the last word and then we can move along.
It was just a small point. It was just on 3.37 E, number 3. It says structures such as sunrooms, decks, porches may be attached or abut the recreational vehicle, provided that their size does not exceed the floor area of their recreational vehicle. It was more just decks, porches, maybe. It was more just to ensure that, well, if it's attached, it makes it a structure. So then technically it can't be attached. So then I think the wording on that should be structures such as sunrooms, decks, porches can abut the recreational vehicle. Or you just eliminate in general, because in the end, it's CBO's jurisdiction. If it's attached, then it's a fixed structure now. So that,
Right.
so I maybe ask Mark for the wording for that. I
Yeah.
think that one just
Yeah.
needs some clarification on it.
And even if it's not attached, if it's of a certain size or it's of a certain, like even a small deck, you're getting a building permit.
Yeah,
Right.
10 by 10, anything above, right?
Yeah,
Well, and I think even decks smaller than that, because there's certain, yeah. So I'll talk to Mark about that. And if at the end of the day, all decks, all structures, all sunrooms have to get a building permit, then we can certainly reduce, we can say, don't let them exceed the size of the, because you don't want a tiny trailer in this massive, closed-in porch attached to it, but we can reduce the size. But yeah, they probably all need a building permit. So yeah,
generally, I would think so.
I think we're really should concentrate on just the RV aspect of it, because everything else falls under the building code. So as long as we keep our bylaw specific to the RV issue and just RVs, we can eliminate a lot of doubt and concern and maybe misreading if we can kind of confine it to that rather than include other structures, because the other structures really fall under a code that we already have, right?
I kind of agree with Tim. Let's make this easier to read, not harder.
Yeah, and I didn't mean to make it complex. It was really just making the point that we just can't have it say may be attached when if it was attached, it'd make it a structure. So I think just that's really some simplicity of it. Someone can go and get a building permit, have a deck, you can pull up in a hippie van or you can pull up a trailer right beside it. Doesn't make a difference. You have your building permit for it. I don't know what's with me for the hippie.
We can get
What is with Brent and the hippie van?
groovy and gnarly. We can get groovy and gnarly in our hippie van.
Pink Volkswagen van.
All
good.
right. So thanks for that discussion, guys. I think that we've given our CAO some meat to chew on there, and she can bring it back for us. I'm actually surprised at, yeah. So this is, thanks for the discussion. All right. So Annette, you've got 2 more bullets, health and safety. Oh no. Oh yeah. Everything else is done. Health and safety and emergency management.
Yeah, so yeah, the health and safety is excuse me, Deputy CAO Sandra Barr and Admin Assistant and CEMC Erica Rice both attended the health and safety training this week. Joint Health and Safety Committee is meeting again at the end of the month. So we're moving forward on our protocols for that. An emergency management, really, everyone is well aware of sort of what happened at Fairfield Senior Living Residence. So I just wanted to say a big thank you to Bonnechere Valley Fire Department, Community Emergency Management Coordinator Erica Rice, the Renfrew County Paramedics, the Legion Branch 353, Fairfield Board and staff, Pat Aubrey, and all the community members. There were so many people out to offer assistance and support when we got the calls for the high levels of carbon monoxide. So really, that's sort of what happened. So we thought COVID was our exercise. We got a whole nother exercise in. So I think we're doing really well and lots of lessons learned. And I think we are still going to have a follow-up meeting to talk about the lessons learned from that day with paramedics and fire and so on. So I think that's that's great that everyone was well and nobody was hurt, and it was a busy day, but some good things were learned and good things were shared. So yeah.
Thanks for that, Annette. Okay, yeah, I think everybody did a great job. I took a tour in after my afternoon county meeting, and although the residents seemed a bit rattled, they were all chatting, and they'd been fed and they had water and coffee and tea. So yeah, I extend my thanks as well. Brent and William Enright were at the front desk doing contact tracing. So I think everybody was in their element and doing the job that they should have done. Sorry, I look like a ghost. All right. Anything further for Annette on her report as a whole? Okay, moving on. Correspondence. Anything on correspondence? I see nothing. New and unfinished, the National Disaster Mitigation Program Intake 6. Annette, were you going to?
Yeah, I didn't know if council wanted us to start investigating this. I mean, it's 50% funding, and I think up to 100,000. I'll have to go back and look now.
Yeah, that's right.
So,
yes, please.
Sorry.
Let's look into that.
Okay. The problem is that it's due December. I think December 1st. It's a very short turnaround. We'd have to find somebody, a specialist in this, because it's mapping the floodplains, it's mapping. So it really is all towards 100% flooding. It's got nothing to do with anything else. So if you wanted us to look into it, we can. It's a short turnaround. I also was, and it's 50% funding. So I also wondered if I reached out to KHR and North Algonah Wilberforce and see, like, do we want to do a joint one so that it's 50% funding? So if the funding is, if we get 100,000 and we have to add, or even if it was, we have to match it at 50,000, is there a way to split that 3 ways with other municipalities and get the whole area mapped? So just looking for council. Are you interested? Do you want me to reach out to them? Steve Osimpenko from the county has some connections with people who could help us to put together this type of plan if we get the funding. But yeah, we're going to need help even filling out the application, because I don't. It's complicated and it's a quick turnaround. It's
somehow I missed the December 1st deadline.
Yeah.
Like, okay. Yes, Brent, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, I have no problem working with other municipalities for it, just to try to get it done. I think it definitely would be beneficial if we can get it done. Well, especially you can look at, in Eganville, especially, I think a lot of insurances went up 25% because of flood, right? So I think anything you can do to kind of we can look into it, especially when we work with other municipalities. Then makes total sense.
I wonder if now that you've said that, and obviously Golden Lake, again, we could reach out to Pequawknagon as well. But I'm wondering, Annette, if we should do it as Pan County.
Well, like maybe, I mean, certainly that would be much easier because it's gonna have to take somebody who knows about flooding to be able to fill out the application. It's due the 1st of December. Now we don't have to spend it till 2021 if we get approved, but it's quite a big, it's an undertaking. And it's not something that everybody knows a whole lot about. So we did reach out to Steve. We can reach Austin Panko at the county, the alternate CEMC. We can reach out to him again and see if the county is putting something in. And if not, I'm happy to reach out to our neighbors. So if you want me to reach out to Pequawknagon, KHR, North Algona, Wilberforce, is there anybody else?
Not on Golden Lake.
Okay.
That's all of us on
Little Hickory Richards, CHR.
Okay.
Yeah, yep.
Okay, I'll reach out to those 3 and see if they want to partner and see if Steve can help give us a connection. And even if we have to pay somebody $1,000 to fill out the application, if we're splitting that 4 ways, it's not too bad, right?
Right. Sounds good.
Okay.
All right. So our next meeting date is December the 1st. So this is officially the 2-year mark. And I want to thank all of council for being prepared and, actually reading their packages and coming to class ready to roll up their sleeves and work. When we reconvene on December the 1st, I understand, God help us all, Tim is going to be the deputy mayor. And at that time, I'm going to turn these committee meetings back over to Tim. Tim will do the first one. Brent will do the second one of each month, please, if that works for you guys. But I truly, when we've had some very easy meetings, we've had some very contentious meetings, but we always seem to end up on a good plane with each other. And I really do appreciate the teamwork. So that's my little thing for the end of year 2. And congratulations to everybody for making it through their first 2 years. I have Tim and then I have Merv.
I just wanted to say I'm currently trying to construct about a 15-pound gavel. I have T1 steel there because I'm thinking it's going to have to be made out of something with a high wear resistance because I'll be hitting it a lot. So Jack could know what T1 is and how strong a steel that is. So I figured that was the way to go. The wooden stuff, I know Merv, you're great at making things there, but this one calls for a little bit more.
Well, there is a bigger one at the township office. It's like about a quart can.
I didn't even bring mine home.
I'm just envisioning like Thor's hammer, just like Tim just had.
That's what we're probably going to end up with there. It all depends on how much electricity I plan on throwing through the electrodes there in the welder. So
We were
Merv.
one time talking about touring the generating station. Was that going to be December 1st or weren't we talking about having a look at the generating station?
Yes, Jack, go ahead.
Yeah, we were talking about that, but I think we wanted to tour once the work was done, right? And
Yeah.
the work, they haven't put the tail raised gates and stuff, and they'll be working on that over the next couple of weeks. So hopefully everything will be done by mid-December, and then we can do a tour then or whenever, right?
Or the
Because it
17th
make more
is
sense for you. Yeah, it make more sense for you guys to see everything in place instead of, just
Yeah.
partial work being done. So
Sounds good. That works. All right. So obviously we have no media, we have no closed. So I'm going to ask for a mover to adjourn this meeting, please. Moved by Tim. All in favor? All right. Thanks, guys. Now we all have to log out and log back in to our EGC, and I'm gonna have to turn on some lights in here. So thank you guys, and thank you, Annette, and to all the staff. Thank you, Sandra. 2 years, we made it.